Hello there and good morning to Wednesday, the best day to reset and re-energize to conquer the rest of the days in the week. I am MFA Akosiaditi and I am bringing you the AM news this morning. Now first, child prostitution and drug abuse, counterfeit operations and suspected human trafficking. That is what a joint task force of military and the Forest Commission personnel discovered deep in the Subri River Forest Reserve in the Western region. What was thought to be a small illegal mining camp turned out to be a hidden community of over 10,000 inhabitants. Now, details in this report by Natalia Konsa read to you.
Deep in the Subri River Forest Reserve in Ghana's western region lies a hidden community, a sprawling illegal mining settlement known as Appiagyei-Atua. Home to more than 10,000 people, it has grown far beyond a makeshift village. This is no ordinary encampment. It's a full-blown enclave with its own shadow economy, one sustained by child prostitution, drug abuse, counterfeit operations, and suspected human trafficking. In a dawn raid, a joint task force made up of military personnel and the Forestry Commission stormed the enclave. What they expected to be a hideout for about 2,000 illegal miners turned out to be a bustling community with over 10,000 inhabitants, many of them foreign nationals from Nigeria, Guinea, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali.
This place, it's an eyesore. The place is full of illegal miners with all manner of activities within this community. We've seen incidents of child trafficking, child prostitution, drug abuse, money laundering, counterfeit, you name them. And we are getting nationals from all over the sub-region. It appears this community is a representation of ECOWAS. You can tell that there is no place within the community that they are mining. They are mining in the Subri Forest Reserve. And the effect on the impact of the illegal mining on the forest is very devastating.
Among those found were trafficked girls from Nigeria, lured with false promises and forced into the sex trade. Young boys were also discovered, many addicted to substances like tramadol. The team says this is just the beginning. The operation will continue for the next 2 weeks as authorities vow to dismantle the entire settlement and reclaim the forest reserve.
It's not going to be a 9-day one, as I said. We are going to be here for nearly 2 weeks and make sure the last illegal miner is ready from this community.
As Ghana's forests come under increasing threat from illegal mining, Appiagyei-Atua stands as a stark reminder of how deep-rooted and dangerous the crisis has become.
Now, still on illegal mining, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofibua, has issued a stern warning to potential miners, stating that mining activities within forest reserves and water bodies will be met with severe consequences. Speaking at the passing out ceremony of the Blue Water Guards, the minister reaffirmed the government's commitment to protecting Ghana's natural resources.
Any attempt to mine gold in our forest reserve and our water bodies will be a deadly business, and we mean it. To achieve this, we will identify and reward excellence. We are talking about a program of excellent mining. Special program is being established to provide phase support, technical training, access to financing, and advanced equipment to small-scale miners who will adhere to sustainable practices to expand their operations responsibly and legally.
Particularly the improper disposal of plastic waste, has worsened significantly in the recent years, prompting urgent calls for government intervention. In response, the Minister for Local Government and Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, has urged religious leaders to mobilize their congregants to actively participate in the national initiative to address this growing menace. My colleague Maxwell Aklobutu has more in this report.
Amid rising concerns over poor sanitation and the escalating environmental threat posed by improper plastic waste disposal, the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs has announced the launch of a National Sanitation Day aimed at confronting the crisis head-on. In a meeting with leaders of major Christian religious institutions, the Minister for Local Government, Ahmed Ibrahim, called on church leaders to mobilize their congregants for widespread participation in the initiative.
If you go to our beaches, everywhere is plastic. If you go to the seas, our fishermen no longer catch fish, they catch plastics. We can't sit unconcerned. That when you talk, Ghanaians listen. You are the social capital we have. You are all that we have. What you say is not only the gospel truth, the truth in every aspect. And Ghanaians will believe it. So maybe this is the opportune time for us to plead with you to make sure that you talk to our brothers and sisters to be on board. It is not a party program. It is a national program for national survival.
The minister also linked the recent surge in cholera cases in the country to the alarming levels of poor sanitation, underscoring the urgent need for immediate action.
Not long ago, there was a statement by the Minister for Health in Parliament informing the whole country about the outbreak of cholera, which we've been battling since 24th October 2024. So the only fight he pleaded on the Minister of Local Government to handle the sanitation aspect.
He also acknowledged the challenges of implementing a complete ban on plastics as a long-term solution to the crisis, emphasizing that recycling remains the most practical and sustainable approach.
We may not be able to ban the plastic bags as I stand here. That is not the first option. The first option to deal with plastic waste is recycling. So what we are going to do is to educate the public about waste segregation.
Chairman of the Christian Council of Ghana, Dr. Dela Dugbe, assured the minister of the council's full participation in the initiative.
We have a standing committee meeting on tomorrow. We're going to trample on this. And as a council, we're going to do another letter referencing your letter, but we're also going to do another letter to directly communicate this to our constituents to make sure that nobody is left out.
The ministry is optimistic about massive participation in the National Sanitation Day initiative. Maxwell Akroboto's report, read to you.
Now, some experts have identified the exit of 3 Sahelian countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, as imminent threat to peace building and integration within West Africa. At a high-level dialogue organized by the West African Network for Peace Building on the recent geopolitical issues facing the sub-region, there is a push for all actors to come on board in addressing the fragmentation of the economic zone. There's more in this report.
After 50 years of existence, the Economic Community of West African States is grappling with disintegration, the latest being the exit of Burkina Faso, Mali, to form the new Alliance of Sahelian States, AES. These developments and many others have prompted a high-level dialogue convened by the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP, which is attempting to unpack the contemporary geopolitical dynamics while recommending solutions.
The geopolitics of West Africa is changing. France is no longer what it used to be in this neighborhood. France is being asked to leave. At least French soldiers are leaving. How can we turn this moment to our advantage? And how can we take care of what I will call our own family problems? Because at the end of the day, we are family.
Also alarmed at the fragmentation taking place in West Africa is the Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security at the ECOWAS Commission, Ambassador Abdel Fattah Musa, who's worried the situation may renew the cycle of dependency on foreign powers.
The whole issue of the dependency syndrome, because today, when we are talking about the differences between ECOWAS and others, you chase France out, then you welcome Russia, and then, others. And I must tell you that ECOWAS never closed the door to collaboration on security and humanitarian matters with the Sahelian states. Up until they left, they were participating in the Accra initiative, which was based here. ECOWAS always invited them to this meeting. No power, however, their intentions are benevolent.
Looking forward into the future, OneUp is hopeful that all stakeholders will open up to citizenry participation in a bid to drive transformation across West Africa.
Yeah, I think it forms part of the complex mix of issues that we are dealing with. They are political, they are social, they are economic, they are even cultural. And I think they all form part of that cauldron of issues that we are dealing with, and therefore we need to open ourselves up to new possibilities and new opportunities. It's important that particularly for the space holders, when I say space holders, I'm referring to those that are particularly within the political spaces of leadership. I think it's important that during this difficult era for the entire globe, really, it's important that they open up themselves to engaging and dialoguing with particularly the citizens, because ultimately it's the citizens that live these experiences and look to the leaders to guide or lead the way as they live these experiences. And
now let's go to the Ashanti region, where the Chief Executive Officer of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Richard Ofori-Agyemang, has declared the Assembly's resolve to kill and feed stray cattle to the prisons and other charity institutions. This is a tough measure to deal with the long-standing menace of stray cattle roaming in major streets of the city. Now, Nanaya Ojima went to a press conference and has filed this report.
At the Asokwa traffic light in Kumasi, about 15 cattle attempt to cross the road unsupervised. They obstruct traffic flow, even though the lights show green signaling vehicles to move. A driver, Alex, describes how he nearly ran into some cattle attempting to cross the road.
I was moving from Ahojo to Kase with my children. From nowhere, a cattle ran into the middle of the road. Fortunately, I spotted it early, so I applied the brake. It was very close.
In the Oforiko municipality, the top high traffic light has gradually become a safe haven for cattle who have come out to graze. By the local assembly's bylaws, persons with authorization by the KMA can arrest cattle found at large without any supervision by a public person. It bans the keeping of such animals outside premises of slaughterhouses. The bylaws further indicate the animal will be released to the owner after payment of fees involved in the arrest and maintenance of the animal. The owner's refusal will lead to sale of the animal at a public auction after 10 days. But the Kumasi mayor, Richard Ofori-Agyemang, is suggesting another means of dealing with the challenge.
If you're a cattle owner and you have cattle and your cattle stray and they are coming into the vicinity of KMA, they can go to any assembly. That's not my headache. If they are coming into the domain of KMA, be rest assured that from the 1st of May, those cattle will be killed and be given to the Kumasi Central Prisons for feeding.
The previous administration of the city was unable to implement the bylaws, citing financial reasons. The administration was unable to reach payment terms with persons to be used in the arrest of the cattle. But the new city mayor insists all the necessary arrangements have been made to implement his new directive.
So who to catch them I've identified. What is now left with KMA to provide us with a vehicle? And I'm sure my managers will find a vehicle for us. So who to do the catching we have, who to make use of the cattle we have. So we would then have to look for a vehicle.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
From Kumasi, 2 months after fire ripped through the Tichiman market, traders are still counting their losses. A twin disaster, the market's fire, and a nearby fuel station explosion have left deep scars, but beyond the ruins lies a growing fear. It could all happen again. Promises of help have faded, and safety remains a distant hope. Bono East Regional Correspondent Anna Sabit has today's episode of our Breaking the Fire Cycle series.
One spark, that's all it takes to erase decades of labor.
These are images of the Techman Central Market where two separate fires in the space of 4 weeks in January and February shattered countless lives with over 1,000 traders losing virtually everything. For many, the fire stole more than goods. It deferred their future. These recurrent fires have turned these hubs of life into ashes, leaving behind shattered dreams.
I have lost everything. I am a widow. Now, what do I do to take care of this?
Most of these victims wonder how these fires occur late into the nights, with both happening on a Sunday. They suspect this has to do with arson.
Well, we'll bring you the full report later on the show. Today, you're watching the AM show. Please stay for business updates with Benjamin Akapo.
Let's get into our stories now. The Ghanaian business community is demanding a long-term approach in stabilizing the cedi, despite Ghana being close to securing $370 million following a staff-level agreement reached between the IMF and the country's authorities. Now, according to the president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Stefan Mezan Abbas, although the expected funds will check budget overruns, reforms and tightening monetary and fiscal policies, that is not sustainable in the medium to long term. He's been speaking to Joy Business.
It brings a lot of comfort, but it is short term and it's going to be short-lived. It's short term and it's going to be short-lived. Businesses plan in the long term. Businesses plan in the long term. So what is the government's policy to ensure that the currency, our cedi, is stabilized in the long term, in the very, very long term? Okay, that is what is important. If we do not do that, what will happen is that we would end up going back to the IMF. And that is not good for any economy. That is not good for any economy. So it is important that we understand the government fiscal policies so that we can embrace it. Like I've said, in the very recent times, we've seen that the government is trying to lead the capital market by ensuring that it doesn't take a lot of subscription. So there's a lot of capital for the banks to unlend. But interest rates are high. And therefore it has a lot of long-term effect on the dollar. So those are the things that we need to understand. So in the meantime, yes, it's good, but the short term is not something we want to count. We want to count on the long-term solution. That is what is very important.
Now, the president of the Federation of Associations of Ghanaian Exporters, Davis Kobo, is calling for practical implementation of programs aimed at resetting the agri-sector. According to him, this is necessary to create value for the economy and help increase productivity and exports. He also noted that the government had to use its 24-hour economy policy to reduce post-harvest losses in the agri-sector.
We acknowledge and commend the new government's focus on agricultural transformation. The initiatives under the Feed Ghana program align perfectly with our objectives for the horticulture sector. However, we emphasize the need for practical execution of these programs to ensure they create tangible value within our economy. FACE stands ready to partner with government agencies in implementing these initiatives, bringing our practical industry experiences to bear on policy implementation, leveraging on the 24-hour economy. The proposed 24-hour economy policy offers particular promise for our horticulture sector. Round-the-clock operations in processing facilities, cold chain logistics, and export handling can significantly reduce post-harvest losses, improve product quality, and enhance our export competitiveness. We look forward to working with the relevant agencies to develop specific interventions that will enable the horticulture sector to benefit from this policy.
And that's it for our business updates. I'm handing over back to the lady in red. Is it Red Riding Hood? The name is
Absolutely.
Aditi.
Absolutely rare. Thank you so much, Benjamin, and thank you for bringing us business updates. That would be a wrap on the AM News today, but please stay. News Review up next.
Welcome back on the AM Show. It's time now for the News Review. Just remember, the AM Show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. And let me ask you, are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such an investment. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit right here in Accra. We're inviting you, invest in our new development, Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility in the heart of Accra. We also provide quality housing at an affordable cost, flexible payment options as well. At Waylead Properties, we provide you with 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay memorable. So right now, my encouragement, pick up your phone, note these numbers: 0240 111 119 or 0540 499 999. You can also visit us at www.waylead.org. But let's talk water tanks now. MFA?
Well, of course, by now, Benjamin, if you do not have the tortoise on your tank, I'm certain that you're missing out. So, well, do you know the secrets to real water storage? It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong and durable and built to handle our Ghanaian weather, rain or shine. Syntex tank has got your back. So my people, go outside, check your tank, and if it doesn't have a tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. Now you can call 0244-335-168 to buy or find one of our 400 agents nationwide, and you can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex, a year strong, a year tough. Time now for News Review.
You know, it just hit me. If you are investing in real estate and you are not investing in Waylead Properties, especially their Willow Lane, Usikano, ashes.
And a walk away what?
Ashes. And if your tank, your water tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, Usikano ayede.
And not ashes.
Ashes. Ayede. Ashes. Anyway, let's get into our news review this morning. I know I'm giving our guests a good laugh. Dr. Kwame Asante is a political scientist. He's head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Dr. Jibril Mohammed is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. And Dr. Clement Abedu is executive director, Africa Center for Sustainable Environment and Sustainability. Both of them join the conversation. In fact, all three of them. Let me just cross-check and be sure that all of you are on with us this morning. Dr. Asante, can you hear me, sir?
Good morning, Ben. I can hear you loud and clear.
Great. Dr. Jibril Mohammed, are you with us? Oh, I see you there. I want to hear you now. You'd have to unmute. Okay, just speak and let me hear you.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning to our listeners.
Great. Dr. Mohammed, I love your well-lit background. Well-lit. Thank you for joining the conversation. And we also have Dr. Clement Abedu. Doc, we're watching you.
Hey, Ben, good morning.
All right.
Good morning to Dr. Asante and Jabril. Ben, the last week you ended with me. Today you are ending with me. I have a beef with you.
You have a beef with me? Please tell me before we proceed.
Yes, because last week you ended with me with the introduction. This week you are doing the same. I thought you were going to go the other way around.
Oh, sir. Oh, my apologies.
Of course.
Do you know why? I think it's the familiarity of. So this is why I probably do it that way. The first person who used to come on Wednesdays was Dr. Kwame Asante. The next person who joined was Dr. Jibril Mohammed, and now we have you. So I guess in my mind, I go according to seniority. No.
Very well. Very well. So good morning, seniors.
But thank you.
Good morning, sir. My brother.
All right. So we'll take your brief thoughts on any matters you have to share. And Dr. Abeidu, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts that you'd like to share with us this morning, briefly, before we get into the newspapers?
Interesting to start with me. A very good morning once again to our cherished viewers. I was quite intrigued about the way MFA was going about the rhyming, the bars she was giving, saying that if you don't go wayward is wayward. It was quite an interesting line. Yes, but so this morning, the share I want to give really is nothing to do with what the issues which has been happening in recent times, or the issues we're going to discuss in the papers. It's something to do with well-being. It's something to do with our lifestyle. Viewers, we need to understand this. Ghana is transitioning to a proper middle-income economy, and characteristic of such a transition is that young people, especially the middle class, are very zealous. They want to work very hard and achieve certain objectives, buy cars, get the houses, and live well, live good. But you see, some of these struggles, some of these pursuits come with a lot of cost in terms of your well-being. And so if you don't balance your life very well, and to know when you have to really check yourself, check on your health, your lifestyle, you may end up, pursuing all the wealth in the world, but then your health may fail you. So I just want to use this opportunity this morning to remind ourselves, especially the young people, especially those in the middle class, especially those who want to have a befitting family, to do something for their families and their communities. To be very mindful of our activities and ensure that we balance our pursuit with our well-being. Be conscious about it, do a lot of exercises, eat well, and make sure you take good care of yourself. That's the little I want to share this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very good advice. Let me get to Dr. Jibril Mohammed. Doc?
Yeah, Ben, you have been mentioning my name correctly. Today, you've gotten it wrong.
Which is it? Is it?
It is Jabir.
Oh, You know what? I think today the spelling has thrown me off. It is Jabir, right?
Yeah, Jabir.
Okay,
Mohammed.
all right. Thanks for the correction. There's been a change somewhere. My apologies.
Yeah, so this morning, I want to take you to our roads, the carnage on our roads in recent times. There has been a lot of accidents on our roads. And I think that our lives are precious, just as my colleague had rightly said about our health. I think that we really need to exercise restraint in the way we drive on our roads, particularly most commercial vehicles and even individuals. Overtakings on our roads have become too much, and it is leading to a lot of road crash. And it has a serious economic impact, social impact, and our well-being. So I will employ the road safety. I will employ the Ministry of Roads and Highway, especially to concentrate on the dualization of our roads. The big push that we have voted about 13.something billion Ghana cedi to do, I think that our concentration should be on the dualization of our roads. I would be very happy if we are able to dualize Accra to Tamale Road in no time, any moment from now, if you can start that process. I'll be happy if you can have the dualization of the road from Accra to Takoradi. These are two major places that we really have to work very hard to ensure that we have those roads dualized. If we are able to do so, I believe that the carnage on our roads, I just heard that, very young people are dying. Two of them from school, they wanted to go and take their school fees around the Sinyane area. There was a crash and the two of them died. Another one from one family, they died. So it is just too much on our roads. And I will employ the President, the Minister of Roads and Highway, and everywhere meaning Ghanaian to join me in this call so that we can work, we can all talk can work very hard to ensure that we get these two done. It can be done, and it can be done very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jabir Mohammed. And let's get to Dr. Kwame Asante. You have the final word on this, and then MFA will usher us right into the papers.
I think I want to look at the gold board that has come to the fore. It's a good thing, even though people are expressing a lot of concern, but I support the board, and I support it with all my heart and all my might. Why am I saying that? If you read about what Sami Gyamfi, the CEO, the acting CEO, has said and has written about, fantastic. I pick from it things that the board is going to do that is going to support this country. One, for us to be able to generate a lot of revenue from within. That will go a long way to show up our financial needs that we need in this country to undertake a lot of development programs. Two, the issue of smuggling is going to be minimized, if not eliminated. But we are thinking that, yes, in the interim, at least, is going to minimize a lot of smuggling that goes on in that area, and is going to help us a lot. My joy also comes from the fact that a lot of foreigners who have jumped onto this wagon, taking undue advantage of the country, is going to be a thing of the past. That if you're a foreigner, they are not preventing you from being part of the process, but that you can place an order and show the country the destination for which you want them, the substance to be, and they will ship it for a fantastic idea. And then also is going to support us to deal with the issue of Galamsey menace, that you have nobody to sell gold to. You have to go toward the board. If you have any of such minerals in your hand, you go there and you say, and that will deal with the problem head on. I support Gold Board, and I want them to take a cue from the experiences of Cocoa Board, and then use it as a guide so that we'll have this board forever and ever.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. And speaking of Gold Board, coming to you, MFA, that situation where we see that forest reserve with 10,000 strong people who have created a township engaging in illegality. And the question is, why is it only coming up now? I am shocked.
I had chills running down my spine yesterday when I read that news, exactly midday yesterday. And especially, in fact, beyond the mining was other crimes that we
prostitution, child trafficking.
Child trafficking. And I really am wondering, will this now feed into the government's new approach or direction where if they arrest an illegal, or if they arrest a foreigner engaging in illegal mining, they're going to be shipping them outside of the country? Because 10,000, if not all of them.
And not all of them are Ghanaian.
Imagine, yeah.
There are foreign nationals in there. In fact, in terms of the child trafficking, the suggestion is that some of these girls are trafficked from Nigeria, and there are Nigerians involved. There are nationals of other countries involved, and they are engaging. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Illegal mining, prostitution, who knows what sort of racketeering, money laundering is going on there. I saw people with mattresses and the rest. You know what? Burn everything to ashes. I mean,
it looks
if
like
you go to certain countries and you engage in illegality, they don't say go and pick your money that you've secured through illegal means. That is, if you are not, properly, you didn't get into the country through the right means. You are deported. You are caught and deported. Burn everything. Why are they allowing? Because look, these people know exactly this township was set up for a specific reason. They've engaged in illegality for only God knows how long.
Very strange how we're unable to identify. It will be a good time, Benjamin, to actually engage Dr. Clement Abedo on this one, especially because of, the expertise on the environment and sustainability. Doc, let's even look at the bigger picture, Benjamin, where now would have to deport or ship foreigners who are engaged in illegal mining. This is a real test case, a real good, very vibrant case study for the government. What's your take on this, Doc?
Thank you very much, Emifa. So the the Galamsey issues, and I mean, what we are gathering now. Personally, I am not surprised because I know that there are several others, I mean, of such sites across this country where, similar, with similar characterization, with similar features in terms of the numbers, in terms of the activities and the things that these young people or these people are doing there, and also all the illegalities that are perpetrated by these young people or these people out there in this very community where now they are in the news. Really, it gives us, or it tells us the bigger picture when it comes to issues of Galamsey in this country. And I've always said that if we want to just address Galamsey as if it's someone going into the forest or someone mining or undertaking all sort of haphazard activities, no, it's very wrong. The issue is so now complex and multifaceted that you cannot just look at it from the fact that people are mining. A lot of things are going on in these mining communities. And the stakeholders, the land, I mean, the custodians of these lands, the chiefs and the rest, they cannot tell us that they don't know that these communities exist. The assembly members and all the stakeholders, they don't know. They cannot tell us that they don't know that these communities exist. They know all the activities that are going on. But you see, it has become more of a community. It has become more of a certain society whereby illegalities are being reinforced from different angles. Because if I do my illegal mining activity, if I engage in my Galamsey, the money that I get, I use it, for example, to patronize these girls into who are into prostitution. Now they get the money, they tend to use the money deposit on drugs, and so it becomes more of a cyclical, reinforcing situation whereby everybody supports everybody's activity or whatever everyone does. So it has become a whole society where, unfortunately for us also, I mean, we have just allowed the law to relax on them. And it's become more like an anarchy. It's more like they are now a community whereby nobody supervises them, nobody controls them. And so they are living in their own world. And that is a serious issue for us as a country because, you see, this, I mean, as we are seeing in the videos, what can these people do? Because they have the machines, they have the drugs, they have the money, okay? They have everything. They are so connected and united with so much resources. And if we don't sit up as a country, we are ditching ourselves. We are digging our own grave as a country. And so I am happy that this expose, this issue has come up, but government need to understand this.
Okay.
Galamsey must be treated as a serious criminal issue and all its related activities.
I couldn't help but agree with you better, Dr. Bedu. And Dr. Asante, given the power, what would you do with these 10,000 people? What would you do with them?
Please, can you give me a little background? Because I was speaking whilst you were showing, so I didn't...
Right, so what has happened is that we have discovered a community near the Subiri River, Forest Reserve, I should say, and about 10,000 people in these communities are engaged in illegal mining, child prostitution, drug abuse, money laundering, and it was discovered just yesterday. We broke the news on midday yesterday on Joy News. And then we're asking that this is quite a vibrant case that fits in the new direction that this government is seeking to go, where if they find or if they arrest a foreigner engaged in illegal mining, they're deciding to want to deport them instead of punish them here. Now we have about 10,000 persons, and not just 10,000. A good number of these 10,000 people are foreigners, they're not Ghanaians. And I'm asking, Doc, given the power and authority, what would you do with these 10,000 people? Because they are not just mining, they're also engaged in illegal activities in this country, prostitution and the likes. What would you do with them?
Every civilized society is regulated by law. So once we have law in place, the law should take its course. If there are breaches of the law, appropriate process must be followed. to the courts and where we will hear the statement of the court in terms of what the judgment of the court. That is the way to go. But I detest that idea that they want to deport foreigners who have committed crimes in this country. What kind of theory is that? Go to any part of the world, commit crime. It doesn't matter the relationship between that country and your country. I tell you, you go through the full hawk of the law. So why are we kidding ourselves here? It is very discriminatory because the same offense, when you commit and you are a Ghanaian, you serve the normal prison sentence. So why are they different from this? The authorities should shy away from this before we get angry at them, because that is not good enough. Let them face the music so that it will serve as deterrent for others who want to emulate same. Look at this den. It's a den of criminals with all manner of activities going on. But my worry is that this particular place is owned by a people. And they have their leaders, chiefs and opinion leaders. Is it the case that they've not seen? The district chief executives, the security apparatus who operate there. For the security, I don't hold brief for them, but I know that matters of this nature, they've written their report long time, except that the political class have not acted on this. But if this is the case, it should be a learning curve for this government to stem this tide and then get to the logical conclusion of this. The policy of deporting people who have committed crimes, particularly in the area of Galamsey, without walking them through the courts, must be out of the calculation.
Dr. Jabiru, I'll have you also comment on this, but quickly, Benjamin, let me just run them through what we have on our papers. Dr. Jabiru, okay. There's a story on the news center that would interest Dr. Jabiru, but please go on. What's your reaction to this discovery or uncovery that we brought on the Joy News channel yesterday?
Well, the question I'll ask myself is that who allocated the land to them? Is it that the landowners don't know that they are there? Certainly, they sold the land to them, and they have given them the authority to be able to settle within that area. If the owners of the land don't give them that authority, there is no way they can ever go there to settle. You see, the problem we have in Ghana is that it's about land tenure system and the land structure. If the government were to own every single land in this country, I believe that we could have planned the country and planned it very well. One key thing you have to understand is that if you arrest somebody and the person has committed a crime, you try the person within the laws of the country that you have arrested the person. Even though we have extraterritoriality in terms of some of these things, but I believe that these are not people found within the embassy of those countries that you say that they have run to the embassy, and for that matter, you have to send them to their country for trial. Once they found themselves within your territorial borders, you have to try them and prosecute them. And I think that these people should be prosecuted and used to reclaim the lands that they have destroyed. One of the key problems we have found ourselves in the Galamsey area is the reclaiming of the lands that has been destroyed. If you arrest people, take all the money that they have gotten from the Galamsey, use it and reclaim the land. If you do that continuously, you will notice that people will not go there again for anything. When you prosecute them, make sure that every aspect of their properties, you confiscate them and hand them over to the states and use these resources and reclaim the land. One of the key problems we have in Ghana is that when people commit crimes and we arrest them, we leave their properties to them. You have to claim the properties and use it to settle whatever you are told that you are supposed to do. Once you don't do that and you continue to give them the opportunity to go, they will come back and continue to commit the crime that they have to commit. So the punishment that we are meting out is not just enough to deter people from committing crimes in Ghana. It's not just only Galamsey. Every aspect of Ghanaian politics, every aspect of our lives, people are highly irresponsible. And these irresponsibilities is what is affecting the state. Once we are able to crack down irresponsibility, I believe that people will sit up and this country will change to the good.
Right. Thank you. Benjamin, would it be a good time to bring them what's in front of the newspapers?
Yes, I mean, definitely we ought to do that. And since you have that story as well, which delves into this issue, when you get there, I'll share some more thoughts on that. But let's get into the papers.
Right. So the News Center this morning is reporting that, I'm certain you'd have that as well on the Daily Graphic, but the IMF Ghana reached staff level deal for $370 million is in front of the News Center. Also, Minority donates $400,000 to fire victims at Kantamanto and Edu Market. I'm certain that they've put that into a bulk amount. It must have been in tranches, because then yesterday the Edu Markets, the Minority caucus donated 200,000 Ghana cedis. While the News Center is reporting that we've reached a staff level deal for $370 million, the Minority, led by Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, ranking member of Parliament's Finance Committee, also thinks that the IMF exposes government's fiscal data manipulation. The story is on page 4 of the News Center. Now, this is what I think will interest Dr. Jabril, because 752 sadly killed in 3 months, a 23.5% rise or increase in injuries, crashes, vehicles involved, and pedestrian knockdowns, all recorded have been increased. And that's from January to March this year only. We've lost 752 lives to road crashes. And also the custodian this morning, NPP holds crunch meeting today, and Okoye committee reports is in focus. We'll bring you details of that when we can as well. The Accra Times as well support Feed Ghana program. President Mahama urges stakeholders as well. And Dr. Asasante's topic for today, the gold board, is also highlighted on the Accra Times this morning, as gold board strikes get out of the local gold trading market. And this has got to do with the timelines that they have given to all the foreign miners in this country. Benjamin, what do you have on the Daily Graphic?
So let's get into, I think you started, was it the News Center?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so we can get into the stories you want to do from there, and then I'll come in.
Okay. So maybe, Dr. Jabril, you already have called on the government to do something about our road, and especially the crashes happening. But again, I'll just give you a little bit. It says that new data on road traffic crashes and fatalities across the country from January to March 2025 shows that 752 people lost their lives on Ghana's roads. And this marks a 23.5% increase in road traffic deaths compared to the same period in 2024. And it raises urgent concern about road safety across the nation. I'll stay with you. I ended earlier with Dr. Jabril, but I'll go back to Dr. Asante. Dr. Asante, it's been years since we've been talking about road crashes in this country. What differently, really, can this government do about road crashes? I recall that the new Greater Accra Regional Minister made a promise that at least all the street lights in Accra would be back on, and she's happy to report that 70% of that has been done. We have a different report of that. But beyond our street lights staying on, what really can we do? What else can we say to at least prevent or reduce the carnages on our road?
Thank you for the opportunity, MFA. I think advocacy should continue to be sustained. Advocacy about the need to have our lives all the time on the road. So that means that road regulations and road education must continue and must be strengthened. That said, we can also look at the issue of engineering on our roads. What have some engineering problems that we have? Some of these things, those of us who are ordinary people, but talking to experts, they give you some of the engineering problems that we have. And we believe that all these things must be looked at generally so that we can fix the problem once and for all. Then we as a society, beyond advocacy and other, we should know that we treasure our own lives. So you will not be careless. You will not want to do things that are untoward and the rest of them. Once we get the basis right, I think we should be able to reduce the carnage. But above all, we should be able to crack the whip when the need arises. That calls into implementation, the rules governing driving and road usage. That should be done. For political science, we'll tell you that state capacity, one of its branches is the regulatory capacity. Any state that fails to be able to make laws and then implement the laws, I'm afraid you are gradually drifting into a failed state. Is that where we want to find ourselves? Please, we need to look sharp.
Right, Dr. Jabril, please take your bite on this.
Okay, well, I'll continue to lament. It's just about planning. The way and manner in which we plan our roads are bad, especially interior roads. You will notice that some of the roads constructed interiorly, the gutters are left open. Yesterday, when I was coming home, within Lagos itself, and Kisima, I saw 2 vehicles stuck in gutters. They drove and they stuck in gutters because we left the gutters open. Elsewhere, you will never see any gutter being opened. And you will never see a road being constructed without you having walkways. We do not have walkways. Pedestrians are not respected. When a pedestrian is supposed to cross, there are no crossways. You go to most of the interior roads, you will not even see a crossroad. You see a road, a house, building, wall being just closer to the road. You can't live in a civilized society like that. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. So the city authorities must sit up. AMA and all the city authorities, they have to sit up. They need to create walkways for pedestrians. If we don't have these things happening, there is no way we ever solve most of the problem. If you break down the statistics, you realize that it's not just only road crashes. It's because of pedestrian knockdowns. Why? Because when pedestrians are supposed to cross, there are no street lights or there are no waiting equipment for them. When you come to a roadside you want to cross, you have to stand there and press on the wait. Elsewhere, that's what happens. When you press on the wait, your light will come on, the vehicles will have to stop, and you cross. But the person is struggling to even cross because the state has not made the provision for them. So like Asha Ashanti says, state capacity is very important. What critical role is the state playing so that we can solve all these problems? Once we are not able to do that, we should forget about it. So the state has to come in strongly, the assemblies have to come in strongly, and we have to redesign our communities. Any property on the road, we have to break part of them and create pedestrian walkways. And that is the best way to be able to solve most of the problems. And also to ensure that we are able to create places for them to be able to cross, zebra crossing. Make sure that you put a street light there and put a stop wait there so that they press and wait. When it is time, they can cross and go. That is the only way we can solve most of the problems. If we are not able to do that, we should forget. We will keep killing people. Just within 3 months, we have lost 750 lives. That is highly significant. Let's look at the population of the country. If you strike it, the distance, you will see that we are having about 0.something% of your people dying through road crashes. And it is unacceptable as a civilized state.
Dr. Abedu, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jabril. Dr. Abedu, please, you can comment on this.
Yes, I think I share with my colleagues the issues they are raising. Really, it's about us as road users, both the drivers and the passengers. It's about the institutions and also about the road infrastructure. I mean, but you see, let's be realistic here. In this country, we have a lot of drivers or car owners whom for over years have never been to DBLE, but they are always renewing their roadworthy certificate. Yes, you see, these are realities. So, in the first place, what are the checks being done on these cars to even ensure that the cars are roadworthy? And they are paid for them. Okay, so at the end of it all, the cars are on the road, but they are unchecked. These are the realities from the ground. Now, let's assume that the person is not able to get the roadworthy done. I mean, a policeman finds out on the road. What happens? what happens? The policeman will just, I mean, at that point, there's negotiation. The person settles the policeman and then goes away. The person overspeeds. What happens? He or she is being caught. And then, so, I mean, the issue really is that we as a people in the first place, we are not even aware, we are not so conscious about our actions and inactions and how it leads to the threatening of our lives. And so it becomes like when it hasn't gotten to a turn where you have to experience the accident, you think you're always doing the right thing. But that is not the case. If you don't do the right thing and we don't ensure that the right thing is being done, somebody else will go and cause the problem and then you'll be affected. And so we as road users, as drivers, we need to be mindful that, hey, we need to get that awareness, that understanding, that knowledge, that this is what I have to do when using our roads, whether the road is good, whether the road is bad. Of course, as it stands now, we cannot get, we cannot tell the government to fix all our roads within 1 year. It's not possible. Our economy, the way our economy stands now. So you, the person using the road, you, the driver, you, the pedestrian, you, the passenger, ought to understand the reality that this road that I'm using is in this shape, this road is in that shape. And so I need to do A, B, C, and D to ensure that I am safe. Your personal safety should be important to you. Now, if your personal safety is not important to you and there are laws to ensure that you do the right thing, then equally, like my colleagues have already mentioned, the institutions ought to be serious. But we are just relaxing everything and people are just dying. When it comes to road accident, I am quite passionate because I have very close colleagues who have lost their lives through road accident. And so it's something that we need to look at it very carefully. The police and all the law enforcement agencies should do the right thing, should make sure the laws are applied. Governments must also, ensure, do its best to ensure that at least roads are in a very befitting state where people can use with some level of comfort so that we don't, to the extent that will not threaten our lives. And we as a people should also, take care of our own safety and ensure that we are always cautious when using our roads.
Right. Benjamin, there's something Dr. Abedu said that I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty, but I know people who are watching. I know people who are watching. They're very guilty. How are you renewing your license and your roadworthy without going to DVLA? Dr. Abedu, I'll report them all to you. But Dr. Sasanti, I'll come back to you. Let's talk about IMF. And I'm certain that every Ghanaian or every citizen in this country, if you hear IMF in your mind, well, it's a burden to the government, which will be shifted onto you, but at least you feel that there's some help coming your way. So I can report that the IMF and Ghana have reached a staff level agreement on the fourth review of Ghana's $3 billion extended credit facility program, paving way for $370 million disbursement, and still will be pending on the IMF Executive Board approval. The News Center also has reported this. Dr. Sasanti, what does it look like? What is the picture looking like for this new government?
I'll still go back to state capacity. There are four aspects of it. I've touched on what regulatory capacity. I'll look at the other one, that is extractive capacity. And every state should be able to generate its own resources to run its affairs. Once you are not able to do, you have weak state capacity. And when all the four are gone, you are in a failed state. If you look at the way we are handling revenue mobilization in this country, it's funny that we don't care a hoot about how to ensure value for money and how to make sure that there is prudence in our financial management. So all the time, we misbehave financially. We throw all cautions away because there is a body called IMF that we can run to. That has emboldened our government over the years, and we go and we are sorted out. I'm looking forward to a day that IMF will say, go back and right the wrongs, and that I have nothing for you. That is the day that awareness will come. Because I don't see, now you see IMF with a cane at our back, and they say, do this, we do that, and then we applaud ourselves that yes, we have done the right thing. We are meeting this condition. We are quick to come on air that we have done ABC. Why don't we get the basis right here without going into them? We can do it because we are surrounded by a lot of resources that once we manage them well, we should be able to overcome these difficulties. So the issue of IMF, I always see here, and if I'm talking about, there's always a pain in my heart because my leaders have failed me, and that they are lazy thinkers. If they think outside the box, they will not take us to IMF and all the conditionalities that we have to be contended with. It's sad, but here you are. Yeah, but I am praying for a day and that we will get a leader who will right the wrongs. And then the little we have here, manage them well, that there will not be the need to go to IMF. Because, mind you, IMF has not developed any country. And that you need to develop your own country. And that is it. IMF is not a philanthropic organization. Aristotle has said that even philanthropists, they are those who have and they want to give. Is IMF one of them? Please, a word to a wise.
Thank you, Dr. Asante. And clearly from next month, especially 3rd May, if you're paying for your utility, indirectly, IMF conditionalities will be screaming at you because of the increase by PRC. But I will also go to Dr. Jabril, and you touch on the IMF, please.
Well, thank you. IMF, one of the paper I'm currently doing is on debt burden and macroeconomic instability, using evidence from Ghana. One of the key findings I'm having is that when IMF is present in the country, then the authorities behave well, the economy tends to do good. The moment IMF leaves, things get worse. Why is that so? Is it that we need, people have to go catalysis on our leaders to do the right thing, or they just don't want to, they just cannot do what they have to do? You see, one critical thing you have to understand is that there ought to be a collective bargain between the elite and the governed. So the elite, who are those governing us, and the governed, we those who are the followers of the country. If they don't bargain very well, so that they can gamble for their own development by saying, okay, fine, let's forgo our self-interest now, so that we can put things right, and in the long run, everybody will benefit. That is the way to go. What is the contribution of every single Ghanaian towards revenue mobilization? Are people running their businesses and failing to pay their taxes? Are the authorities doing the right thing to ensure that the taxes are efficiently utilized when they are collected? These are staggering questions that we have to be asking ourselves. What is the assemblies doing to ensure that they do a lot of revenue mobilization? Why can't we win some of the assemblies off the government payroll and tell them that AME, KME, Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly, generate your own resources, pay yourselves, and pay the rest of the money, use the money and develop your local authorities? Why can't we do that? Until we find an innovative way of modeling our revenue and modeling our development, we'll continue to revisit the IMF all the time. We need to be proactive in getting away from the IMF. This is the 17th time that we have gone there. Sometimes we rejoice, oh, the IMF, we have reached a stable level. The IMF is coming to give us so and so and so. And we are doing what the IMF wants. So what is it that when the IMF leaves, you fail to do what we have to do? And the research findings are showing that. So we have to sit up. Whether President A or President B, NPP or NDC, they need to be serious people. And that is the way that we have to go. If we are not serious, we should forget about development. Gambling for development is important. The leaders must trade off today their selfish interests today and let all of us work collectively for the benefit of the country tomorrow. And if you are able to do so, we are going to cut the dominance of IMF. We are going to IMF all the time. We're going to cut it off. But when we are not able to gamble between the elite and the governed, there is no way ever go anywhere as a country. Trust me.
Well, let's quickly get into some other stories as well. Just some quick reactions on the township on the Subin River, the forest reserve. I think we should prosecute. And I think that is something we are all saying, that we should stick to what the Act says. If you get these foreigners, imprison them, prosecute them, and if they deserve, imprisonment, imprison them before you deport them. And something on my mind, 10,000 people. This township of 10,000 people didn't just spring up. You didn't just spring up and see 10,000 people there. It's been going on for a long time, and we've turned a blind eye to it. We can't allow them to enjoy their ill-gotten gains. And on the PURC increments, so Nana Ajantua, when she came through, made mention of the fact that it's not, these technically have nothing to do with the IMF. They are, there are the quarterly increments.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And last year, before the transitional period, some things happened. So the increment didn't happen. And now it's accumulated. And so there's a double whammy, which should have gone up to about 27%. But they halved it and are giving 14%, which means that this is debt we're going to have to pay as a country if we are going to keep the IPP satisfied, if we are going to keep ECG and the rest afloat. So interesting times. But let's get into the Daily Graphic newspaper quickly. Goldbach revokes gold dealers' licenses. The story is on page 13. Dr. Nuyama gets AIES top role. Africa Standards Organization Commonwealth deliberate on AFTA. Then there's government IMF agreement brings in $370 million. We've already done that story. E-Waste Fund accrues over 60 million Ghana cedis. On the back page, don't take unapproved medications. Expert advises public. This one, And then NYA holds stakeholder engagement on apprenticeship program. So I'll start from there. The president of the C4C Homeopathic Pharmaceuticals, Dr. Michael Trematin, has advised the public to be mindful of patronizing medicine not approved by the Food and Drugs Authority, saying such drugs could have adverse effects on an individual's health. Some people are battling with kidney and other related ailments as a result of some medication which are unregulated or even unknown to authorities. I'll just share this story. I think it was in, was it Kuforidia? Yes, there was this hospital and I had a relative there. I went through. This young man, I'm sure he would have been less than 20 or just about 20, apparently was suffering what the hospital said may have been malaria or some sort of typhoid fever. Someone had given him a local concoction. He had taken it. First time I'd ever seen this in my life. The young man, and by the way, he passed, sadly, in the hospital. His skin, you see how when there's a drought and the land is cracked, that's how his skin was from head to toe. And from the cracks was coming pus.
What?
Yes. Apparently, someone had given him a local concoction to help cure the ailment. He had taken it, and I guess he had some allergic reaction. This was what happened to the young man, and he died. I saw. He passed. So sometimes when you talk about these things, a lot of people, I don't know, we are very courageous. So you see someone hawking on the street, you buy, you put in your body without even knowing. And some of these, they don't have, X milligrams or you are just taking it. It's crazy, and that's why kidney disease is also on the rise. Let me go to page 13, and I think that's where I'll wrap on the Daily Graphic. Pursuant to the presidential assent to the Ghana Gold Board Act, Act 1140-2025, passed by Parliament on March 29, 2025, all licenses issued by the Precious Minerals Marketing Company, that's the PMMC, or the sector minister to small-scale mining companies to deal in the country have been revoked. The new act makes the Ghana Gold Board the sole buyer, seller, assayer, and exporter of all gold. It also talks about the fact that in a bid to honor the contractual obligations between licensed gold buyers and their off-takers, persons or companies holding the appropriate licenses issued by the PMMC or the Minister of Mines until April 30, 2025 have until that time to purchase gold and export same. Likewise, all foreigners have been given until April the 30th to exit the local gold trading market. There's also E-Waste Fund accrues over 60 million Ghana cedis. It's set up by the government to receive the advanced recycling levies, that is eco-levy on imported electrical and electronic items, and it has accrued over 60 million Ghana cedis. On the international front, investment app freezes in Nigeria cause anxiety. You can check out details of that from the papers. And Trump blames Zelensky for starting the Russia-Ukraine war. Donald John Trump will never cease to amaze me. Trump administration freezes $2.2 billion in grants to Harvard University, and there's been a lot of standoff between their government and Ivy League institutions as well. Gentlemen, I need your brief reflections on these stories. I'll start with you, Dr. Mohammed.
Well, as for the Go Board, it's important. I believe that they are starting very well. And when the law is fully in place, the government will be able to finance all the resources is needed. It is going to be another bonanza to us. Just like we have the cocoa, this is going to be giving us regular income. Maybe this is the time that we are going to be fully benefiting from our gold resources. One of the critical researches that I did some time back was to look at the shareholdings of all the gold mining companies that we have. And surprisingly, I realized that government have very little shareholding. Even Ghanaians have very little shareholdings in them. And once you don't have shareholdings and the money go into an escrow account, it doesn't come back to your country. Most of them hold their accounts outside the country. So when they sell, the money is there. You are recording a very impressive GDP, but in reality, the money doesn't come home. And that's how come that our currencies continue to depreciate. On the issue of the recycling waste, electronic waste, I believe that the money should be used properly. One of the problems we have in this country is that one fund being set up, the money is being used for something else. So we need to be able to direct our resources into usage of where the resources are supposed to be allocated for.
Right.
And we are able to do that, we can solve our problems. And lastly, on the issue of the over-the-counter drugs, or drugs that are not approved by the drug board, I think that Ghana, we need to be serious about it. Our lives are very important. People should not just be taking drugs anyhow. We have to take drugs that mean well to us, not drugs that are going to be killing us, just like we are dying like frogs. We need to get out of it.
Dr. Hassan Asante, brief thoughts on these. We have limited time.
Yes, I'll look at the unapproved medications that are being abused in the public. This is not new because we've seen it time and again. We believe that the authorities, let me say that the FDA have done a lot in this area because when these things started in the 80s and 90s, you see all manner of quack people parading the streets and roaming in rural areas. They've been able to get a lot of them off. We should continue to be vigilant in these areas and report all those who are illegal operators in this industry to appropriate authorities, to root them out. I think that is the way to go. And then people should also seek proper medical attention than resorting to these quacks. It will not help them. It will rather worsen their situation. I will also look at the PURC and then what we should expect in terms of increment of utilities and all that. Some of these problems have been there. Look at ECG, poor management and the rest of them. They can't even collect money belong to them and all that. Once we operate on that score, obviously we are going to have difficulties and problems of this nature will be pushed onto the consumer ultimately. We need to fix those problems so that we can deal with these issues head on.
Right.
The issue of, e-waste is an important thing because you go to Agbogloshi, I don't know the situation now, and that's where you see a lot of electronic materials which are not in use and, have all manner of health consequences, but people do not know and they play with it and all that. So if the state want to take a proper measure to dealing with this thing, very well.
All right. Dr. Abedu, very quick thoughts on any of these matters?
Thanks. So I'll touch briefly on the unapproved drugs. You see, when a patronage or when consumption of a particular illegality is perpetuating, it tells you that there's a leakage, something is wrong with that very system. And so I just want to say that we should look at it from the bigger perspective of our entire health system. What will inform somebody, for example, not to go to the hospital or an officially sanctioned facility to get a prescribed drug and take it? What are the challenges in terms of access? What are the challenges in terms of infrastructure? What are the challenges even in terms of knowledge base? All these and more come together to form the entire health system. And so if we are finding a lot of patronage or people resorting to this unapproved drug, it means that something is not right within the entire health framework. And that is where we have to look at it.
Right.
The second issue I want to look at is the good board briefly. You see, I'm very happy about the good board. It's a good thing. I agree with my colleagues and all the commentaries coming around the good board. But this is just a word of caution to Sami Jemfi and the good board team. Gold cannot be likened to cocoa. Cocoa, as a cocoa farmer, or if I'm trading in cocoa, I cannot buy the cocoa and hodge them in my room for how many years? I will definitely be compelled to sell it either to cocoa board or to all the other areas where cocoas are sold. But gold is a certain resource, which if I don't even export, which if I don't even sell, I can keep as a source of wealth for years, for decades. And so we need to be very mindful about the illegalities which can still emerge out of the gold board. If I am able to use my own ways to get the gold and decide not to trade it through the gold board, how do you know? It's in my room. And so we need to be very mindful of that and ensure that we don't get overwhelmed that, the gold board is there and so it's going to be an absolute solution to our problems.
Right.
We still have to develop very robust mechanisms to ensure that people will not be incentivized to keep gold or to have gold as a source of wealth or as a store of value.
Right.
That is the thing that I want to take on that. As for the e-waste and the environmental issues, I'm from the environmental side, so I'll talk and talk. But by and large, we have a lot of environmental problems in this country.
Let me just wrap with some.
So I just want to say that the money be prudently used. Hello, Benjamin.
I can hear you. Have you landed, please?
Yeah, so I'm just saying that the funds should be prudently used to promote environmental issues in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me wrap with some headlines, and MFL will also do some headlines. The Inquisitor says, under IGP's watch, police and monkey duties as personnel destroy titanium 123 property. Gold business is for gold bought only. Then there's NHIA to expand free dialysis nationwide, and CRC receives over 500 proposals from stakeholders. The Herald says, Mahama government arrests $5.3 million embassy property fraud suspect. Energy Minister labels petroleum hub game changer. More questions about GBC boss reappointment. It goes on and on. Chief of Staff declares Saturday's Kwewu Business Forum non-partisan. Tema Committee 25 residents cry out over worsening water crisis. And Kofi Aban, police accused of abuse of power in land dispute. Jubilee House National Security IGP petition. I've seen that story in two different papers. Let me just look at the details from here. So it says, on the matter of Kofi Aban, police accused of abuse of power in land dispute, Jubilee House National Security IGP petitioned. And the story says, a Ghanaian real estate developer has accused Assistant Superintendent of Police Malaika Jabril Al-Hassan and businessman Kofi Aban of Rigworld of spearheading some unlawful demolition. So there are a lot of, from the way I see it, allegations in this story. But just to cite, the developer, Christian Kpaku Abose, insists that the demolition was executed without a court order and directly contravened a July 2024 High Court ruling. So there's a situation in Pram Pram. I cannot mention certain names because a lot of these are allegations. But according to the developer, before the February 2025 court ruling, which reaffirmed Titanium 123's legal rights to the land, Mr. Aban arranged a meeting at the residence of the Pram Pram chief. And he asks, if the land genuinely belonged to him, why was he trying to buy it from us? So that's a developing story that I guess we'll look into. My only interest in there has to do with the fact that the Jubilee House and National Security and the IGP are being petitioned because there is a suggestion that some security operatives are supposedly involved. We'll leave the courts to do their work on that matter. The Ghanaian publisher Galamsey exposes Sam George's hypocrisy. Government-cooked fiscal data. MFA, you brought us that. The other stories we've looked at. MPP holds crunch meeting today. Okwe's report reforms high on agenda.
Well, we already did all the headlines on the newspapers, especially, let's see, the custodian, I'll just remind you, the MPP holds crunch meeting. Benjamin already brought you that. I'm certain that we brought you all the headlines on the newspapers, Benjamin. It'll be
anything else you'd like to delve into before we go?
I'm just interested in how some men are actually living by drugs on the streets, purporting to want to correct erectile dysfunction on herbal medication.
That matter.
Yeah.
That matter.
Yeah.
This table you are shaking.
The table is firm. Won't shake it. We'll just wrap on the news.
And I mean, those who are using aphrodisiacs, you are young, you are capable, but I think there are so many misconceptions. So you see 20-something-year-olds, and the doctors are reporting that a lot of those lead to kidney disease and all of that. Mm-hmm. You're already young, you are capable. Why are you going for?
Benjamin, young does not amount to capability.
No, but relax. A lot of them use these, they end up using these, and by the time they are in their 30s and 40s, they can't even perform. So which one do you prefer?
It's the same time to end the news review.
It's a good time.
It's a very safe time.
We have to go, gentlemen. Unfortunately, we are not going to take your views on this matter. But thank you for joining the conversation. Political scientist and head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asante, joined the conversation. We also had, joining the conversation, Dr. Jabir Mohammed, senior lecturer, University of Ghana Business School. And we also had Dr. Clement Abeidu joining the conversation as well. He's very passionate about sustainability and the environment. Gentlemen, thank you for joining.
Deep in the Subiri River Forest Reserve in Ghana's western region lies a hidden community, a sprawling illegal mining settlement known as Appiagyei-Atua. Home to more than 10,000 people, it has grown far beyond a makeshift village. This is no ordinary encampment. It's a full-blown enclave with its own shadow economy, one sustained by child prostitution, drug abuse, counterfeit operations, and suspected human trafficking. In a dawn raid, a joint task force made up of military personnel and the Forestry Commission stormed the enclave. What they expected to be a hideout for about 2,000 illegal miners turned out to be a bustling community with over 10,000 inhabitants, many of them foreign nationals from Nigeria, Guinea, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali.
This place, it's an eyesore. The place is full of illegal miners with all manner of activities within this community. We've seen incidents of child trafficking, child prostitution, drug abuse, money laundering, counterfeit, you name them. And we are getting nationals from all over the sub-region. It appears this community is a representation of ECOWAS. You can tell that there is no place within the community that they are mining. They are mining in the Subiri Forest Reserve. And the effect or the impact of the illegal mining on the forest is very devastating.
Among those found were trafficked girls from Nigeria, lured with false promises and forced into the sex trade. Young boys were also discovered, many addicted to substances like tramadol. The team says this is just the beginning. The operation will continue for the next 2 weeks as authorities vow to dismantle the entire settlement and reclaim the forest reserve.
It's not going to be a 9-day one, as I said. We are going to be here for nearly 2 weeks and make sure the last illegal miner is ready from this community.
As Ghana's forests come under increasing threat from illegal mining, Appiagyei-Atua stands as a stark reminder of how deep-rooted and dangerous the crisis has become.
It was 1 a.m. when the journey into the unknown began. A joint military and forestry task force led by the Western Regional Forestry Commission boss, Nana Bosompim, set out from the 2nd Battalion of Infantry, heading deep into the Subri River Forest Reserve. The destination, a sprawling illegal settlement known as Appiagyei-Atua, estimated to house 2,000 residents. The team was stunned to find over 10,000 people living in wooden shacks under mosquito nets, mining, abusing drugs, prostituting, and polluting one of Ghana's most important forest reserves.
In fact, when we were coming, we estimated to be some 2,000 miners, slightly more than 2,000 miners. But today, reading here in the wee hours of the morning, we estimated more than 10,000. More than 10,000. That's why we could not even effect arrest, because the sheer number and the volume of people we are going to arrest, they will not even fit in our vehicle. And we wonder which jail facility around the Western region can host them. So we just have to raid the community, bend down the equipment, and then make sure everybody is flushed out. So we are here in the Appiagyei-Atua portion of the Subri River Forest Reserve. And this community is a forest-friendly community. It's just apart the Subri Forest Reserve in a community called Appiagyei-Atua. And this place, I mean, it's an eyesore. The place is full of illegal miners with all manner of activities within this community. We've seen incidents of child trafficking, child prostitution, drug abuse, money laundering, counterfeit, you name them. And we are getting nationals from all over the sub-region. It appears this community is a representation of ECOWAS. So we have people from other neighboring West African countries, from the Sahelian regions, from Guinea, from Niger, from Burkina Faso, from Nigeria, from Mali, and all of them are here. And this is a rural community. Why are they here? You can tell that there is no place within the community that they are mining. They are mining in the Subri Forest Reserve. And the effect on the impact of the illegal mining on the forest is very devastating. So as you can see, we raided this community. We managed to get rid of the entire illegal hub that was probably constructed by these illegal miners as a hub.
Dozens were found drowsy from suspected drug use, some under the influence of tramadol, others, including underage girls, were victims of human trafficking and forced into prostitution.
We are told young girls nowadays do not even want to go to school. They want to be here to make money from the prostitution business. And that is very bad. What we've seen here is an issue. We managed to rescue some few foreign young Nigerians. One of them confided in us that her madam brought her the kind of work that she's expected her to do, she's not going to do. And clearly such a minor is being trafficked and involved in prostitution right here in this village. That is the impact of the illegal mining, what they are bringing into the community. You've seen this tramadol, this red substance. Some people that we arrested, they appear drowsy, even in the wee hours of the morning. And clearly, it's a nice one. Everything is here. We've seen makeshift brothels. We entered and we saw some of the activities that they are engaging here.
The damage is not only social, but environmental. The Subri Forest Reserve, once teeming with biodiversity and rich water bodies, is under siege. The goal, not just a one-day raid, but a 2 weeks long operation to raid the forest of its invaders.
The community bend down the equipment and then make sure everybody is flushed out. It's not going to be a 9-day one, as I said. We are going to be here for nearly 2 weeks and make sure the last illegal miner is raided from this community. I've always been sounding a caution, and I'll use your medium to sound a caution. Notice is here by itself. I want all the miners to get out of this community, get out of the forest reserves, get out of our rivers. If you do so, we will live in peace. But if you refuse and you want to mine illegally in the forest, it's just a matter of time. Enjoy your 50 minutes of fame. The long house of the law will catch up with you, and that's exactly what we have seen today. Notice is here by itself. Get out of our forest, get out of our river bodies. If you want to mine, do so legally, and we'll have no issues with you.
For years, illegal mining has threatened Ghana's forest and water bodies, but the skill uncovered at Appiagyei-Atua is a haunting reminder that behind every pit of gold lies a pit of despair. This is not just a battle for land. It is a battle for the soul of a nation. Reporting for Joy News, I am in Appiagyei-Atua, Subi Forest Reserve.
What devastation, and how we ourselves are allowing, this impunity to go on. A 10,000 strong township, and members of the community knew of it, and it has been in existence for God knows how long. But we get into the salient details now. We're joined by our Western Regional Correspondent, Appiagyei-Atua. She joins the conversation just to give us updates on what exactly is happening. Appiagyei, what can you tell us? What's the latest on the back of this development? What's that settlement like as of this morning?
Yes, Benjamin. So just like we've read listening there, they destroyed the whole community, but unfortunately for the operation team, which went at a point, they ran out of fuel, and so they had to leave some portion of those wooden structures. And so yesterday they went back to destroy the rest of the structures they couldn't destroy. It's to interest you to know that yesterday when they went back to the place, some people had also begun another structure again. So I am tempted to believe that immediately when they finished the operation, the people also went back. And then people that were trading them, food vendors and others, where they had destroyed their tables and other things, burned them into ashes. Yesterday, when the team went back, they had come again to start their business. And so the team, just like they said, for 2 weeks, they are going to mount that particular sport and then other sports within the Western region. So today, again, I understand from the Regional Director of the Forestry Commission, Nana Bosompim, that they are going back to that enclave to see if indeed people have continued what they destroyed. Because yesterday, as I said, when they went back, some people have also started mounting new structures. And so they are going to be there for the next 2 weeks, including other places that they have also gotten hints of that have a similar structures like this within the Western region, also involved in illegal mining. Benjamin.
The sheer impunity of it. So these people were sacked yesterday and they decided that they would go back. In fact, some had already started mounting these makeshift structures one more time. This joint, military, group says it's going to be there for 2 weeks. But from where you sit, all the signs then will be pointing to the fact that once they leave, these people will come back, right?
So from where I sit, Benjamin, just like the regional manager said, most of them are not even Ghanaians. These people have come in to, settle there. And then from the visuals we had, you saw that some of them were carrying their mattresses and other things that way. So I am sure, I am very sure that if they can really go by what they are saying, that they are going to mount the place for the next 2 weeks and monitor there, they will not come back. Unlike a Galamsey operation that you go, or illegal mining operation that people, the team go and then come back, and then the next morning or the next evening they are there. This one, if they need to build structures and then within 2 weeks there are military and forestry guards patrolling the place, I don't think they would be able to do that from where I sit, Benjamin.
Interesting bit. We are now seeing this, but with 10,000 people in the community, it means that township didn't start today. Do we know for how long they've been doing this? Do we have any idea?
Benjamin, I cannot tell for specific, but it looks like it's been so long. It's been so long. I cannot tell specific years to that.
It definitely has been so long. And Natalia, thanks for the refreshing add-ons this morning. We're grateful for your time. And as and when you have new data or details, we shall come to you as well. MFR, it's interesting, isn't it? Just as we assumed, this must have been there for quite a while.
Absolutely, Benjamin. And I'm hoping that we're able to get through to Nana Bosompim himself this morning to ask questions, because what we're doing is we're destroying the current place, but they will relocate. These are human beings, and they're moving, and they have tendencies of wanting to find a place to just relocate and start a life again. So it's just a matter of taking their mattresses. If they don't build the structures here, just as they found this place, they will find another place. So what are we going to be doing? Man guarding what? Certain locations? Are we worried about where all these 10,000 people, if not all of them, at least half of them, where they are moving to? We've also said that some of them are they're not Ghanaians. These are foreigners. A chunk of them.
Nigeria, Niger, Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and they are here destroying our land.
So where are they? Between yesterday or 2 days ago and this morning, where are they? They have either gone back to integrate with other communities, or they're starting another place again. And so it's concerned. And have we even found whether or not they have a leader for such communities? If you don't have a local chief, they have somebody who is their go-to person. What's their story? How did they start it? I mean, there must be a reason for this, because this impunity cannot be this much. But let's go on Zoom. And before we go to Alasawa, she is founder, eco-conscious citizen. We'll come to you, Alasawa, and thank you for joining us this morning. We'll start with Dr. Mr. Appiagyei, Professor
Appiagyei.
Thank you, Prof. Professor Appiagyei-Atua, law lecturer, University of Ghana. Thank you for joining us this morning. Now, earlier, we've been just tossing the idea, Prof, that the current government seems to want to go a certain route. That if we arrest foreigners who are engaged in illegal mining, they're tempted to want to deport them instead of, having them go through the punishments in this country. We've seen about 10,000 people today who are suspected to be illegal miners, some of them engaged in prostitution, drug abuse, other forms of crimes that we have so reported this morning. And I'm wondering, if a person is found culpable of illegal mining and at the same time engaging in the other forms of crime, I need some bit of education. How are we going to be using the law to punish them? Because if this same person, Benjamin, I don't know if you understand my question. If this person is supposed to be paying for the crime that is outside of illegal mining, how are we going to get them to be deported and also paying for that? We'll come back for that law education. But let's just go back to the man that we all have been looking for to talk to first. And Prof, please hold on that for me. Nana Kwabena Bosompim. He is the Western Region Forestry Manager. And so thank you for joining us this morning, Nana Bosompim. So yesterday, our reporter has just been telling us that after the raid yesterday evening, you have been reported to visit the place again, and then you've seen that you can report that they have started erecting new structures. What can you tell us as the current situation now?
Yes, good morning to you and good morning to your viewers. It's a pleasure having me. Yes, it is true. The operation started early hours of Monday morning around 12 midnight. We left our station and then got to the community around 3 a.m. And at the end of the hours at 10 a.m., we've been able to rid the community of all the illegal miners, and we've gotten rid of their slum. In fact, people refer to the place as a community. It is not a community. It is a completely illegal settlement with wooden structures, wooden planks, plywood, whatsoever. And it's a slum, a complete slum. There are no elders, there are no opinion leaders, just run by a gang. A gang they refer to as budos, a heavily built macho men.
We seem to have a challenge with the connection to Nana Bosompim. But that's interesting. You were making a point that usually maybe there would be some sort of leadership. It appears there's no leadership. It's just a gang, like he says, in the slum that they have created. And basically, it's a free-for-all.
Yeah.
We have Nana back. Nana, please go ahead.
So sorry for that. Yeah. So it's a slum run by a gang akin to the mafia system, where anybody who comes to that slum have to pay for the...
Oh, no.
Well, I don't know, but it would be really good to see him as he gives us this scoop. But let's see whether we can try one more time. Sometimes connectivity issues. If not, we'll try to get him on the phone line. So at least we can get what... Nana, we can hear you. Let's try one more time.
Okay, good. Yeah, so...
I think we'll try the phone lines. We'll work the phone lines to get Nana Bosompim back. But did you hear what he said?
Yes. We're
kind of like the mafia.
Muscled men.
You get it?
I mean, where will we start then? How will we start?
It is illegal.
Yeah.
It is criminal what they are doing, and we should deal with the situation. But since Nana, we're trying to reconnect with him, can we go back to...
Let's go to Prof. Prof, good morning again, and thank you for holding. And so, well, first of all, let me take your initial reaction to the story, and then we'll break it down as to how, if we can't even find the leaders of, if we're allowed to use a gang for now until we're able to find a better way to describe them, where will we start? But let's take your initial reaction to this.
Thank you. Well, a good job done by the joint military police task force that went into that community. But Nana Bosompim's description that there's no leadership is totally untrue. Well, maybe they will do further works, but when they do, they realize that, as he rightly said, there's a mafia form of operation taking place there. This is the next stage of the Galamsey practice, which I describe as leading to a Galam state, because these are people who are now occupying territories and operating a parallel form of government, if you like, in these communities. People will pay to enter the community. They bring in different actors to play different roles so that the community can function. That's why you talk about child trafficking, drugs, and so on. It all makes the society, that community, function. And so in that situation, there's a structure. If you analyze it carefully, you see a structure that will ensure compliance. People will be punished for disobeying the laws that that particular mafia group would have set up. So in all these situations, you see a structure there. And what I was happy about is that they didn't face military or armed response. That is where typically in some situations, that's how they would have reacted. But the fact that they are immediately coming back shows that they are showing resilience. And they, if we are not careful and deal with it tactfully and immediately and with reinforced military presence there, they are going to respond with armed, they are going to engage in an armed response. And I can also say that other communities, similar communities, will be getting ready. So while they went there to do a good job, what I'm worried about is that what kind of intelligence did they use to go into the community? I think that would have made them better prepared. One, in terms of the number of people that live in the community, they should have had intelligence as to the numbers. And they should have been prepared, number two, with adequate facilities, adequate personnel to be able to ensure that at least the gang leaders are arrested. And that would have been critical in uprooting the problem over there. The 2-week stay that they say they are going to be there, it might work in eradicating that camp. But the reaction or the consequence will be that either they will come back to the same spot when they leave, or they are going to regroup somewhere else. And so the idea that when you arrest the illegal immigrants, minors, we should deport them is a no-no. And it's something that we have been waiting for the government to respond.
Right, Prof. Please respectfully hold for me. My apologies for cutting in like this. Let's bring in Nana Bosompim one more time. Nana, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, please go ahead. Prof seems to suggest that this gang, as you called them, has leadership. You say they have no leadership. Based on what do you say this? And then you can go ahead with what you were saying earlier.
Normally, when you enter a community, you are expected to see maybe a local chief, an elder, an assemblyman, a unit committee member, or the like. These are the local government or traditional structures you may have within a typical.
But this is illegal. This is an illegal.
This is illegal. So I'm trying to suggest that it's a slum. It's a complete slum. You don't even find structures. They are just plywood structures with roofing sheets on them. That's where the people live. And the whole place is administered by a group they refer to as the Budo. That's the gang. A gang of about 30 heavily built men. They administer everything there. We are told anybody who comes to settle there, they have to assign you a parcel of land to put in your makeshift.
Oh, I hope we've not lost.
I think this time we'll try to raise him on the phone and just see what happens from there. We really need to get the scoop on this. But let's also bring in Prof. So before I go back to Awolasewa, you seem to suggest something. Are you saying that the intelligence, there was an intelligence failure because, of course, they assumed there were about 2,000 people. It ended up being 5 times that number, 10,000 people. And are you suggesting that the military should be more armed in dealing with this, or they should be more ferocious in dealing with the canker? I didn't get that point you were making. Just briefly on that.
Yes, I think there's some intelligence failure there because from the look of things, and we have said it before, that these communities are springing up. From the look of things, it looks like it has been there for a while. And so people going in and out should have given an indication as to the numbers there. And so before you mount such an operation, you should have gathered enough intelligence to know the numbers. And then you prepare adequately for it. More armed personnel would have been needed for this particular activity or exercise. And there should have been enough preparation to arrest so many people, especially the gang leaders. From the narrative we have so far, there's no mention of any arrest or any, particularly the gang leaders. They are the controllers and the rulers of the place. They sometimes even collect taxes and they find other means to make the place function. And so they will have the resources, and unless you arrest them,
right,
the solution, you cannot find a solution to that. It's not necessarily about how they go in terms of going to militarily attack the place and shoot people and kill them and so on. But it's about making sure that the leaders will be arrested and they will not be able to return to the place. And so as many people should have been arrested, estimating about even the 2,000 that they said they had in mind.
Right.
Did they have the vehicles and the equipment to arrest the 2,000? It doesn't look like they did. And so that's why I'm talking about the intelligence failure. And they need to prepare better for such operations because there's going to be more fierce resistance in other instances.
Right, Prof, thank you. Please still hang in there for us. But now we'd like to bring Awolasewa in. And Aula, thank you for holding on all this while. But I'd like to take how you feel so far about the actions taken by the Western Region Forestry Commission or led by the manager. The action particularly to raid this illegal settlement. How do you feel about it?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I think Prof has said it all. It's great that they went for the operation, great that it was successful, but it could easily have gone horribly wrong. There was a failure in intelligence, expecting 2,000 people, and you got 10,000 people. Had they been highly armed, we could have been, today could have been a very sad day. So we thank God that in terms of raiding the place, it was successful. They burned down the settlement. But this should be, and we should sound a note of caution that we have to go well prepared, because we don't want unnecessary loss of life. We need to go well prepared. And it's unfortunate that the ringleaders were not arrested. But I hope what happens now is that those who try to return are arrested. And this reinforces what we've been saying about declaring a state of emergency. If you don't want to call it a state of emergency, you need to understand that we have a very serious problem on our hands. In this situation, there were 10,000 people. We have so many other forest reserves. We don't know what is happening deep inside our forest reserve. So we really need to get our Army, Navy, armed forces together. They are professionals. Give them clear terms of reference and give them the mandate to secure our forest reserves and our water bodies.
Right.
And then we also need, since we are resetting, we also need to speak to our political authorities. If people start going back, there needs to be a way where they can alert the authorities and it can be nipped in the bud. 10,000 people did not get to the forest reserve overnight.
Right. Let's go back to Nana Bosompim. And you were at the point where you were explaining about some sort of leadership that this illegal community will have. What did you do with them? Did you meet them? Have you made any arrests? What's the update with them?
Yeah, thank you very much. So as I was saying, you don't see the normal leadership structures you see in a normal community, because this was a complete slum. So it was being run by a gang. And within there, we saw evidence of human trafficking. In fact, it appears, and it's becoming clear to us, that the illegal mining menace in Ghana is making our country probably a safe haven for human trafficking, trafficking of women and young girls. We saw so many nationals from the South region. That's why I declared that illegal community as a representative of ECOWAS in that small community. We saw people from Niger, from Mali, from Burkina Faso, from Togo, from Cote d'Ivoire, and people from the South region all engaged in the illegal mining menace. We saw a lot of young girls from 14 to 18 that have been trafficked, a lot of them from Nigeria. I spoke to one lady who said she has been in the camp for 7 months. 7 months. What do you do over there? She said she ran prostitution for her madam. Who is your madam? She lives at Esikuma. What do you do? I ran the prostitution and she takes the money. We saw evidence of narcotic trade. We saw cocaine. We saw weed. We saw tramadol. And for the first time, I saw this red. That's sometimes narcotic was what they call red. A lot of them. You open a box and they keep dropping.
Nana,
and that is the situation within the community.
Right, Nana. My curiosity. You not only saw these people engaging in illegality of Galamsey. You are suggesting there's child trafficking, prostitution. You are even seeing them with contraband, cocaine, and the rest. Why were there no arrests?
In fact, these were not people we saw holding these things. It was after they fled and we raided the camp. In the course of destruction, you break down a wooden structure, you go in there, and these are the substances you are seeing. So it's not a case of there was somebody holding it and we caught the person. No. When they saw us in the operation, the whole place went into some chaotic situation. People running, we saw women, children, a lot of people. In fact, we were struck at the sheer numbers of people we saw. So it was during the breaking down of the structures that we found these documents. But there was nobody there, except for the few women, young girls who were found in the brothels.
Right.
There are a lot of brothels, makeshift wooden structure brothels in there.
Are you suggesting that the larger chunk of them had evacuated before you got there? Because when you look at the footage, hold for me.
It was the same.
Hold for me.
It was the same. Yes, it was the same people who told us that immediately we entered the community, the bulldozers ran away. They ran away immediately we entered. We didn't know exactly where they were. But the whole thing is a slum.
So the video we have of people carrying their mattresses and the rest, who are those people?
These are people in that slum. You know, a lot of people have come and some are doing the mining. Others are also there because of the mining-related illegal activity, like prostitution, trade in ban or narcotic drugs, those selling normal food, water, drinks, whatsoever. It has become a hub for a lot of people to go and apply whatever trade they want to engage in. So when we saw the share numbers, before we touched all the structures, we told everybody to get out. Pack whatever you think you can pack. When that's other little human face, pack whatever you think you can pack, because when we get there, everything is going down. Because we were constrained.
You were giving it.
Even 500 people, there's no way our vehicles could have completed. Because our vehicles went fully packed.
Nana, please, let's have a conversation so that we can get the information we need. You say all these people were there. 2,000 was the estimate, and you went and met 10,000. Do you think that was an intelligent
estimate? It's not an ideal estimate at that moment, but when the whole place turned chaotic, we were just standing at a distance trying to estimate what we are seeing. And we did a little drone flight within the community, and it was shocking. The number is just a rough estimate, but they were many.
Do you know, before MFA comes back in, do you know of, we've been told that there are other such settlements in that specific forest reserve. Do you know of any other such, illegal communities within that ecosystem?
Exactly. We were in one community called Enclave. Then I think just some few kilometers from the Enclave, we went to another village, another slum called Jerusalem. That is even more worse than the videos we are seeing, because there were more people and it was a more bigger slum. But before we got there, it looked like they had a hint of what has happened in the nearby slum. So we saw people moving en masse. We saw the tricycles, carting mattresses, people were moving. And we're happy people were just living there. community members before we raise out the entire community. In fact, this morning we heard of another third community around Wasankrai. That's my officers are on the ground. They're almost getting to the site to assess the situation and see what we can do over there.
Nana Bosompim, let's talk about the numbers. How did you arrive at the 10,000? I mean, I hear you mention that it's an estimation, but yes, now we're dancing between. I'll take an estimation of the 20,000, right? So no, you estimated that 2,000. You estimated 2,000, and then you actually met an estimation of 10,000. That is quite that's a number. How did you arrive? I know it's an estimation, but what and what did you put together to arrive at this 10,000?
In fact, when we went in there and we started the operation, I think people got think of it, and the people started coming out. At that time, we were doing some drone mission flights to assess what is happening, to look out for people who may come on us with weapons whatsoever. But then the numbers that we saw that dawn, in fact, it was like a crowd that no man can number. So myself with the military commander, we were just at the corner flying the drone, trying to estimate what are we seeing. You move to this corner, you can't count them. You move to the right corner, you can't count. You move to the southern corner, and there are huge numbers of people. And we said, no. This is not what we gathered. To be the number, we were expecting 1,500 to 2,000, but this figure is astronomical. So I consider it may not be exact because we couldn't count them one by one. But the numbers of people that morning, it was shocking. It was to our utter dismay.
Okay, so hopefully we don't get shocked again for the sake of our military and other officials who will be there, for the sake of their safety. But if I get you right, what do you mean then is that when you flew the drone, maybe at that time of day, not too many people were outside. So your estimate was far smaller than when the people realized you were there and they started coming out. Is that the impression I get?
Oh, I think it was when they started coming out that we actually launched the drone. When they started coming out, when we launched the drone to see what is happening, to see whether, because we knew there were people with guns. In fact, the military did retrieve some weapons, some pump action guns, some local manufactured pistols from the scene. So we had intelligence that people are coming with weapons. So we wanted to see what is happening so that we know how to organize our men on the ground. But what the numbers are, these were civilians, not guns whatsoever. And women dominated, children dominated. You saw people who we would describe as pure illegal miners. And you look to the right, you look to the left, you look to you send the drone forward, send the drone backwards. And these are the numbers.
You say
we should be careful, allow them to leave if they are living on their own volition. So we started surrounding the coast, leave the community, leave the staff, so that we can act.
Two quick questions. They were leaving the community. Only God knows where they were going and what else they would go and do where they were going. The other bit too, because even if not engaging in illegal mining, if there were, prostitutes or other people, traffickers and all of that, what would they go and do where they were going? But the other settlements you were speaking of, you say there are others. Do you have an idea how many others there are? Such illegal settlements?
Yes, so far we have credible information as to two other settlements different from.
So there's Jerusalem and which one? There's Jerusalem and which other one?
Yes, we went to Enclave. Then we went to Jerusalem. Now we are hearing of another community called Wasankrai.
Enclave.
Enclave. Yes, we haven't been there. So when we get there, we'll give you that situation.
Okay, we're going to go to Prof shortly, but quickly before we go to Prof and Awula Sewa. So I like to think you're quite familiar with the forest area. This is quite a number, and Benjamin says he's quite worried. God knows where they're going. In your estimation, where do you think they would be going, and how far would they have gone to? Because you mentioned that you're going to be man guard in this particular area, Appiagyei-Atua and Jerusalem together. Now, in 2 weeks, you're going to be man guard in that area. Beyond that, where do you think, how far do you think they're going to be going, considering the job that they do, the illegal mining particularly, and other things that they're engaged in? Do you have any estimation where they will be going?
In fact, I may not know exactly where they'll be going, but listening to the people, we went close to them, we talked to them, where did you come from? We found people coming from the upper east, people from the upper west, from the savannah region, from the northern region. They are there in their numbers, in addition to people from the sub-region. You find people who will tell you we are coming from Sevi, we are coming from the Abuasi, I'm coming from Ashanti region, thereabout. When they left the community, it was in a rush, it was an operation, everybody was running, they feared for their lives.
We do not know exactly where they were going, but at least they left that slum. They left that slum. They want to sustain this operation by keeping officers there on the ground. And then there's a second thing that will be periodically patrolling these communities. I think we should be able to sustain it if you have the necessary financial and physical support to keep our men there. I'm planning that if you have the resources, we should be able to camp there for some time. And then once everything is calm, our men retreat and we go in intermittently or periodically to check what there's any evidence of rape building or some illegal camps. They will liberate in the bad immediately.
Okay, please hang in there for me. Prof, he mentioned that some of these children they range between the ages 14 and 18. I acknowledge the fact that most of them are not Ghanaians, but what shall we be doing with them legally if they're engaged in such crimes and they are under some leadership? What will we do with them? He's just mentioned that they've migrated. But if we're to find them, what can the government do?
Are you talking about the children?
Yes, the children particularly. Because he mentioned between 14, well, 18 they would be of age, but between 14 and maybe those who are younger than 14.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. And we know child trafficking is a very common phenomenon within the sub-region. And child trafficking falls under transnational organized crime, just like all the other criminal activities that they found taking place on the ground. And so it is an interconnected practice, set of practices that take place where there is one particular organized criminal activity ongoing. That is one reason we call it organized crime. So when you have such a situation and children are involved, there's a particular UN provision, treaty dealing with that, particularly women and children. They need to be rescued. And so it becomes a responsibility on the government of Ghana to ensure that those people are rescued, the children are rescued, they'll be interviewed to know where they're coming from. And the interview will cover the extent to which they may have been involved in any criminal activity. Most of them may have been lured into these activities, and therefore they may be innocent players in the game. But some may also be actually part of the organized scheme that take part in this activity. We need to look at their profile, their background, and so on. And those who are found to be foreigners, they can be sent back home to their countries if they are found not to have been criminally engaged and they're able to trace their where they come from. But those that are criminally engaged, they should not be let go, because the law actually makes it clear that they have to face the law. And so we have to use the juvenile law dealing with juvenile crimes to be able to ensure that they face justice, and then which calls for rehabilitation and so on.
Right.
And so that brings to question the issue of the statement made by the Minister of Interior that when you arrest the foreigners, deport them. That is not what the law actually says. Of course, the Minister of Interior has the power to issue an executive instrument ordering people to be deported. But the Minerals and Mining Act is specific that there's an exception to that, the powers that the Minister of Interior is given, in the sense that such people arrested need to be tried and sentenced and to serve any other term of imprisonment or any punishment that the courts will impose on them, after which, according to the Immigration Act, they can be or they should be deported. And I think that is a good law for the country, and the Minister of Interior cannot use the powers that he has to deport people to do that. And I think we have precedents on that. Aisha 1 still stares us in the face. And so coming to realize that these people are within the communities, these people have created mafia groups in the camps, and they are controlling this particular Galamsey issue that we're talking about. Then it confirms the case we've been making over at least the past few months, if not years, that we declare a state of emergency. It is very, very critical because what they want to do at the forestry people and the military went to do at the Abrewan Inquiry place, it tells you that we need to properly organize ourselves before we go into such enclaves. And we need to get the intelligence right. We need to get ready to the people who arrest. We need to set up even anti-Galamsey courts within such communities so that they will be immediately tried, and we know the social workers and those who should be there, especially for the children, and those who are found culpable should be sentenced. We say that we may not have a place to imprison them. There should be. And there are different ways of decongesting the prison so that we can find place for such people to be put in there when they are found guilty. Or we'll explore alternative means of punishment, which will ensure that they serve their term, there is deterrence, and then we'll be able to reclaim our forest and ensure that Galamsey will no more be, will not pose that as a central threat to the country.
Let me bring in Awula Sewa. Having seen what exactly, this is a positive, but there have been so many cracks in there. What do you think are the lessons that we can learn from this moving forward so that in other such raids we can be better prepared from where you sit?
I think that moving forward, we need to do our recce. It's essential. What happened could have been a disaster if they had been armed and they had attacked.
But Awula, to be fair, they did conduct a recce. He was there. The Forestry Commission boss says that he was there together with the military commander. They sent drones. They did some due diligence. Mind you, he was talking of dawn, so it wouldn't have been very easy to see everybody in there, to be fair.
Well, to be fair, the difference between 2,000 and about 10,000 is quite stark. And they did a brilliant job. We commend them, but we don't want any harm to befall them. That's why we are saying that it's always essential that we do the best we can to try and estimate how many people are there. They did a brilliant job. Now, moving forward, we need to ensure that they don't come back. So anybody who comes back should be arrested. And since we are also resetting, we should ensure that the police, the political authority, if they come back, then they should be held accountable, should be able to monitor what is going on. Because the army isn't going, the team is not going to stay there forever and ever. Even if it's 2 weeks, even if it's 3 weeks, they will eventually leave. So when they are leaving, we should make sure that these persons don't come back. It's essential that we put systems in place so that they don't come back. And again, I align myself with what Prof said. We have said it all along. We face an existential threat. The environmental terrorists are behaving in such a way that you must declare a state of emergency. The more we dilly-dally, the more the criminal conduct increases and they entrench themselves more than before. So we must immediately declare a state of emergency. Give the armed forces, the Navy, the Air Force, a clear mandate. And then not only do we remove them, we have to ensure that they don't come back. We've seen how the next day they were coming back. You know, we really need to understand that we face a very serious situation. And we can't afford to dilly-dally. We really need to take the bull by its horns. But yes, we commend what was done yesterday, and it's a step in the right direction.
They have told us that they may be there for, 2 weeks or maximum a month. Do you think they should be staying there? We should be manning that post for much longer?
You see, we have to understand that there needs to be systems in place where there can be a rapid response. They can't stay forever. Even if it's 6 months, they'll eventually go. So we have to make sure there's a post there, the community is engaged, and I've said there's a role for our political authority and the police, so that if they try to come back, there's a rapid response and they are dealt with, they are arrested, prosecuted, and jailed. And I also want to add that those who were found, that the children, some of them are victims. If they were victims of child trafficking, surely we need to make sure that they are offered the right support. We can't just allow them to go back into the community or wherever. They are victims who need support according to UN protocol. So we really need to look into that. But another concern is that we don't want these people. And therefore, we need to have serious systems in place so that when the task force is leaving, there's no vacuum for them to return.
Interesting point you made there about how to handle the children. Nana Bosompem, if you can hear me, I'm just curious. Can you specify for me what long-term measures you have in place to prevent a future, development springing up again in this specific place?
Oh, no.
It appears we've lost Nana Bosompem. I would have wanted to find out what the way forward would be, what measures tactically. Maybe they will not be able to tell us everything in order not to put everything out.
Security reasons, yeah.
But for tactical reasons, measures, what they would be putting in place to forestall any such acts, because this is scary. This is beyond scary. I do not know. But while we work the lines to get Nana back, maybe we can take the final words from Prof.
Yes, Prof.
Hello, Prof. If you're with us, final words, please.
Thank you. Well, I think that the operation that took place and the so-called discovery that came out of it clearly confirms the position of civil society activists and academics and so on that have been waging the war. Even students, my own international human rights law students last year did a press conference saying that Galamsey constitutes an existential threat to the state. We need to declare the state of emergency. That is the best solution to this problem. But the dividend from the government tells a story that when governments come to power, they can be easily compromised. And that is where state capture comes in, and where Galamsey evolves into a Galam state. Now we are seeing mafia groups springing up, and they are occupying territories. They have identifiable membership, and they occupy territorial space, and they perform parallel governmental activities. That is the scary part, and that tells us that we are moving, we have entered the Galam state, and if we don't deal with this matter, it may lead to even a failed state. So we need to sit down and act as soon as we can. So far, when the government came to power, there was a statement called that within a 120-day period, some measures are going to be taken, some steps are going to be in line with the manifesto of the NDC and so on. There was little or no mention about Galamsey. In his State of Nation address, His Excellency the President also made little or no mention of Galamsey. And so it tells a worrying story that the government's attempt to deal with the Galamsey issue they're not taking it very seriously. They've been able to pass some laws to amend or to repeal some laws on e-lobby and so on. What about the LI 2462? There's no need to amend it. It has to go away. And I think the Minister for Environmental Science and so on is saying that when the state of emergency has to be declared, the President is consulting with the military and security capos. We don't know how long that is going to take. And we don't even need any consultation to do this. The evidence on the ground. It's not just about the traditional form of security where you need arms and so on. It's also about human security. And we've known all the evidence that we've gathered on the ground, deformed babies being born, cancer issues springing up in these communities, the environmental degradation, impact on cocoa farmers and cocoa production in general. So many problems have been unearthed and reported and documented. So what are we waiting for? We are sitting on a time bomb, and the evidence has come out to stare us in the face. So it's time for the government to act, and with all the support and the research that has been done, we'll be able to support the government to bring this canker to an end.
Right, Prof, thank you very much. Maybe we'll take a final words from Oblasewa as well. I know how you feel about the LI, so I'd have you give us your final words.
Well, what I'll say is that in the run-up to the elections, His Excellency the President categorically said that he will repeal LI 2462. It's most disappointing that what has been laid before Parliament is not a revocation, but it's an amendment. The law is not fit for purpose. It's a bad law. It has to be repealed. It has to be removed. We cannot amend it. and that is being slightly disingenuous. And also, I'd like to point out that we face an existential threat. We've talked about the rise in kidney disease, maternal deaths, and deformed babies, and so on and so forth. Our food being contaminated. Water is life. Our water is being poisoned. So we cannot afford to be dilly-dallying. We also face national security threat, 10,000 people in the forest. We don't know what is pertaining in our other forests. We really need to take the bull by the horns today. Stop dilly-dallying, declare a state of emergency, and be strategic. And also, since we are resetting, the DCEs should be, and the police command should be held accountable. If these environmental terrorists are there and you don't know they are there, you might be sleeping on the job. So therefore, if they start regrouping and you don't send the word so that the task force can come and remove them, you have to be held accountable. This is the only way that you have the political authority and the police command being vigilant about ensuring that our landscape is not being invaded by the environmental terrorists. And I need to add that even our cocoa is found to contain mercury and other things. What are we going to export? The peasant farmers are at risk of losing their livelihood as a result of illegal mining. And we're still sitting there. As Prof said, what was important to us, the e-levy, the betting tax, we're able to repeal them. Are we saying that fighting illegal mining, irresponsible mining, which is killing Ghanaians, is not as important as the e-levy? Our priorities are misplaced. That's all I can say.
Thank you for joining the conversation. It would have been good to get that final bit from Nana Bosompim, but it doesn't appear we can do that. Awula Sewa is a founder of Eco-Conscious Citizens. She joined the conversation. Professor Appiagyei-Atua is a law lecturer at the University of Ghana. We also had Nakwabena Bosompim, Western Regional Forestry Commission manager. And we also had our very own Western Regional correspondent, Inathalia Kwanzaa, joining the conversation. Don't you forget, the AM show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. You want to stick and stay? We have more conversations coming your way right after the break. Well, tied to that conversation, we also have the situation in Kumasi. The new Kumasi mayor has stirred some controversy, and he has defended his position to flog traders who sell on the pavements, road medians, insisting that that's the way to infuse some sanity into the system. He's also declared the Assembly's resolve to kill and feed stray cattle to the prisons and other charity institutions, a tough measure to deal with the long-standing menace of stray cattle. Let's find out what he had to say, and then we'll go on the ground and engage Nana Yaujima, our journalist on the beat. But this is what the Kumasi Mayor, Richard Ofori-Ajimabwedi, had to say.
My own democratic military style, which I'll be implementing. When we say leave this space, and you don't leave this space, and I get there, I am not lucky, and my boys are with me, there and then, we'll beat you. There, in the middle of a doom. If you're not lucky, if I'm alone, you'll be lucky. But if I'm there, and my 10 boys are in their pickup with me, with their hips, trust me, we'll beat you. If you don't want to experience that kind of situation, do that which is right and which is lawful. This is Otunfo City.
At the Asokwa traffic light in Kumasi, about 15 cattle attempt to cross the road unsupervised. They obstruct traffic flow, even though the lights show green, signaling vehicles to move. A driver, Alex, describes how he nearly ran into some cattle attempting to cross the road.
Free Ahojo Adeba Castle.
I was moving from Ahojo to Castle with my children. From nowhere, a cattle ran into the middle of the road. Fortunately, I spotted it early, so I applied the brake. It was very close.
In the Oforoko municipality, the top high traffic light has gradually become a safe haven for cattle who have come out to graze. By the local assembly's bylaws, persons with authorization by the KMA can arrest cattle found at large without any supervision by a public person. It bans the keeping of such animals outside premises of slaughterhouses. The bylaws further indicate the animal will be released to the owner after payment of fees involved in the arrest and maintenance of the animal. The owner's refusal will lead to sale of the animal at a public auction after 10 days. But the Kumasi mayor, Richard Ofori Ajiman-Bodi, is suggesting another means of dealing with the challenge.
If you're a cattle owner and you have cattle and your cattle stray and they are coming into the vicinity of KMA, they can go to any assembly. That's not my headache. If they are coming into the domain of KMA, be rest assured that from the 1st of May, those cattle will be killed and be given to the Kumasi Central Prisons for feeding.
The previous administration of the city was unable to implement the bylaws, citing financial reasons. The administration was unable to reach payment terms with persons to be used in the arrest of the cattle. But the new city mayor insists all the necessary arrangements have been made to implement his new directive.
So who to catch them have identified. What is now left with KMA to provide us with a vehicle? And I'm sure my managers will find a vehicle for us. So who to do the catching we have, who to make use of the cattle we have. So we would then have to look for a vehicle.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Benjamin, it is there. Like there, no.
On the spot now.
There.
Reminds me of those who used to pass by with some and those who sell, rat's bane and others. Do you remember those people? Anyway, well.
While this is funny, raises very serious concerns. How well can we correct or right the wrong? Is this the measure? But Nanaya Ojima, our journalist in Kumasi, who's been following the story, joins us via Zoom for a conversation. Nanaya, it's been some days since the Kumasi mayor said this. What has been the atmosphere in Kumasi? What has been the reaction so far?
So this communication or message from the KMA mayor has been received with mixed reaction in the Ashanti region. Yesterday, we took our cameras to the Central Business District to speak to people who are working or who are trading in the medians and also along the shoulders of the road. Some of these people have been explaining their reasons for being on the shoulders of the road. According to them, now the Kumasi Central Market itself, not long ago, it was demolished. About 4 years ago, it was demolished for reconstruction. The reconstruction is not yet done. And some of them say they will find themselves in the markets. Now that the market is no more, they are left with no other place but to be in the medians and also on the shoulders of the road to trade. Others are saying that they were in the Krofo market, which was also demolished about 2 decades ago. And the Krofo market is also not completed. And that is their reason for being in the medians and also on the shoulders of the road. So some believe that it is not justified, especially with these projects undone. It is not justified for the KMA mayor to go ahead and use flogging to decongest the city. Others believe that even though what they are doing is not right, the KMA have no right to flog these people. So the people, the other people in Kumasi who believe that the city needs to be decongested, despite the reasons that are being given. Because when the previous city administration evacuated people from the Kumasi Central Market for reconstruction, some of them were sent to other satellite markets in the Kumasi metropolis. For instance, if you go to the race course market, there are some portions of the race course market which were left unoccupied. Some people were sent there, but they refused to go in there and trade at the market because they believe that people or their customers will find it very difficult to come into the market to buy. There are other places like the Fiakobi market, which parts or have also been left unoccupied. So some of these traders are supposed to be there, but they've refused to occupy some of these places. Mind you, not long ago, the Blue Light Arena in Kumasi was also burnt down, and some of the people who found themselves in the Blue Light Arena have also come onto the streets to start trading. Mind you, the Blue Light Arena affected about 2,900 traders. So some of these people, if say half of these people are on the streets, you can only imagine the congestion in the city center here in Kumasi. So the KMA mayor's message have been received with mixed reaction. A lot of people giving diverse reasons for being on the streets.
Okay, Nanaya, so you're confirming that it's not the case that there isn't an alternative, except that they are quite uncomfortable with the alternative that's been provided. On that side, when you're answering that, let us also know, is a mixed reaction on both the flogging and also the feeding of stray cattle to prisoners?
So let's begin with my checks at various satellite markets in the Kumasi metropolis. Now, going through the Appiagyei market and also the racecourse market, there are still some spaces that are unoccupied. My own checks reveal that some of the people who are on the streets have spaces in these markets, but they failed to occupy these spaces that had been given to them because they are not comfortable with trading in there. They say they are not able to make enough in these markets. Also, there are some transport operators who are supposed to be in these markets to attract travelers who will in turn also buy from these traders, because according to checks by various transport operators and the market women, they say transport and selling in these markets go hand in hand. So if the transport operators are ready to move in there, it will attract the market. Unfortunately, some of them are loading on the streets. And this is another issue that the KMA mayor has also promised to deal with. So there are spaces in some of the markets, even though these spaces are not enough to occupy all of the traders. If some of these traders are able to move in there, the congestion in the city will obviously be reduced. Okay. So until that is effectively done, I believe that we'll still have some people on the streets whose activities in there will congest the city.
Okay, and for the stray cattle, what's the reaction as well?
Exactly, stray cattle has been an issue for the Kumasi city residents in Kumasi. Now, a lot of people say that it is very important for the Kumasi mayor to look at this. Some of them have, they are happy that he intends to act immediately. But there are some people who are quoting various laws, which says contrary to what the KMA mayor is suggesting. Now, in the story that you just played, the bylaws were quoted, the bylaws of the KMA was quoted, aspects of the bylaws was quoted in there. And I've seen other people who are quoting other acts to support that the KMA cannot take it upon himself to kill these stray animals and feed them to the Kumasi prisons. So people are divided about this issue, but it remains very important that these stray animals are taken off the streets. From the video you just showed, it shows that a lot of these animals find themselves in major roads in the Kumasi metropolis. And myself, I've been a victim of this incident. I almost ran into an animal not too long ago. It was dark in the evening, and this animal was running towards my direction. I almost hit this animal with my vehicle. So it should tell you that this is a very important thing that a lot of people in the Kumasi metropolis would want to see it dealt with. But unfortunately, the mode of operation by the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, the mayor, it's what some of the people in the Ashanti region, or Kumasi to be specific, are not happy about.
Nanaya, I'll come to you in a bit. Just hold for me. I see this message coming through from Na Amanua, who says, I wish Africa will learn something. What do Ghanaians want? We can't have our cake and eat it at the same time. We want to clean up our cities, but you have a handful of people who won't make the effort to change and progress. Accra is choked with street vendors and we can't breathe. And I agree with the mayor to take action in Kumasi. When persuasion fails, force must be applied. That's what she says. So, Nanaya, on that point, people are citing bylaws and all of that. The mayor says this. Sampine, who is a former mayor, says it is democratic terrorism to go and whip these people. Amnesty International has also said it is undemocratic. But what then do the people themselves think will be a solution? If they say that will not work, what else can be done to, rid the streets of these people? They are not supposed to be there.
On the decongestion of the city center, a lot of people are citing the uncompleted market facilities for this reason, and they believe that the mayor should focus on ensuring that some of these facilities are completed.
So you're talking about phase two of the central market. Is that what you're referencing?
It's one of them, and also the Krofo market, which have been closed down for reconstruction for over 2 decades, is another. So if these market facilities are completed, people will not have a reason to be on the streets, the medians, and also the shoulders of the streets. So these are two things that people are pointing to as one of the solutions for this challenge. Until then, some of them believe that they will have nowhere else to trade, and they also have to feed their families. So a lot of them will continue to be on the road. But even that, the mayor is saying that because he is acknowledging these factors as reasons for people being on the road. But what he is saying is that the medians, people shouldn't occupy the middle of the road, especially the dual carriage road in the city center. And also, if you are trading on the pavement, you shouldn't exceed a certain boundary. And that is what he says is the immediate decongestion exercise that he will be doing. He will ensure that even though some people are on the shoulders of the road or on the pavement, they wouldn't exceed a certain limit. The medians too are no-go areas. Now, what he is saying is that he has given them some time, and it starts from today. If these people refuse to leave the streets, he will be on the street with his men. And if the recalcitrant people who are still found on the street are those who will be meted these corporal punishments.
Nanaya, we're grateful for the scoop that you brought us on this matter, and of course that military style, response adopted by the new mayor of Kumasi, Richard Ofori Ajeman Bwedi. But let's find out how people reacted on the streets of Kumasi when they heard this. Let's see what the reaction was.
Actually, say, can be creative free now, but bet me a betray fire so. Name woman, say you need baby tea. Ye market. And I actually ya baby I atena ton ade. Say e ho no so ne ja to we. Ye ju. Greenway si akira so a ka ye betimi awura o akotena tan o kakra say e wo so ye ju o. Eti de o kan de ye no kra pa na o kan no. Na mom ne e ha ye pa ne say e ma mere what say ye. Wo so oba wo de aba na be si ye so. Sebi eno de entwe ye eye kasa kire ene wom. Me ma me nuanom me nananom me nua mema mo me sramo se ye pese ye kuro ni ye enti baabi kakra sei monko chia won kakra kopem tama ye be wie market no ana kagitia na ehye ye no ye be ni ye ana se blue light na ehye ye no on be ni ye ame ya akotena wo na pa se kwa ho na ye se ye tena ne de ye kra ye kase ye bojo so a ne ye boa ena ye wo baabi so wo ho a ye timi tena nchen kakra ebe ye a ye be sori afri kwan nim kra ye betimi edru tama ye be wie asafo market na omu nyina de bekwa akogo ye nyina ye pekro ni ye ye ba esi ye kro yi mu da what sa brochira entiki ye pe na emom ba no ye de akomapa na eje no na emom de wi a ose obebu ye no de nyame anim no kura ne ye sere no eno de entwa ye fi se ye nyen kwala no aboye mano ato.
What she's trying to say, or what she's saying, is that she understands and they acknowledge the security implications of selling on the streets. However, they are courting and counting on the mayor and city authorities to facilitate the construction of markets, the stored markets in Kumasi, so that if they are leaving these streets or they are leaving these pathways, they have a place to move on. What they are also complaining about is the strategy that the mayor now seeks to employ, which they feel is unfair, considering that they have their livelihoods on the line. I would engage more traders and gauge their mood to the situation. Ma me also ton ade wa ha. The mayor can obi aya udijay. Dey asem na work.
Oh, I no correct. Baby am dija. Enye se aha enam dija. If sabeto me ma me nanan. Na ye nidja e wo kwam. Na mom se ahokyira aba Ghana nti ena ama yete kwamu eye no kra ye ti ayedwene ye nkwan pa ka betima betwi afa yeso ama yewu so ati ase tambia ebitwi ema ye nuanom ebi esufre aban eti ana yete ne ye kra ye bonyu so eti asra me yo se onya abotre mai no mu hwehwe ba bi kama no mu mfa ye nkone ye nyina nso ofri ekwam afa so wo so obebo ye aburo ne de ye pana chaw ompacha wo kra ompacha wo yanyan kura no aboye sebe na nakosi agima ba e wa amoye ma party ba e wa amoye no abeka che se ye obetwe abasie so if say na sebe ye ma ya wo mu kura ni ye ntimi ntwe abasie wo mu so eti waka ye sere no ye gitum but on hwehwe ba bi ma ye mano ato.
I can see more traders geared up to react and also share their thoughts on the new strategy and the new enforcement coming from the mayor. Papa, also did you ha meeting komo me hwese de now here ni e de asem na woka.
De tell say wo mu say ye tokwa ho de e kwa na ye te ne ye pe ene ye de te ha. Eno ma bi na asisi ana ma ye te kwa ho. Ba bi a ye te ene say e na ye te ene ja to ho ahye. Woma sa twubudeza asa bebubu reresu nyina ana ahasu so kase baby race course so kase race course da brebie no ayeko eti no ya fene sai mayo sampai bae no o say center market yenwie from jomu yenwie it is hard ya yam patch nchan tiete eti ekwam ma ye hinya afri kwam ho ebe trap enchan say ye wie center market ana ye wie kro from jana na ye nyina na ede ye kɔ ana sese so center market ye nwie ana sese jana asahye no so baby ahye no on se baby a wugya ye ti ha ya ana ahye eti eni baby a kontimayo no onya abotre na on pe baby a ɔhɛ kama race course da bredi ho ana sese so baby a ka so de be kɔ no ji so pe baby pamayen center market so na nke ben a ifi se nke betimi aboa ye enu so nwie it is all Kojana Casa, Wodia na Adabu and Sabi. Enya Kola, Anna, Cecilia, you so by democracy. And it's a democracy in the sea, aiding in war, Cecilia as so. It is all Casa, Wokas Odia Ba, would you become a babu and then say only a Santamai, and ya some more car, some co pass Santamacho. If you say, Yanya Sabi, Yanyamwa, Nadia Baba Kaiso. If you say Nipan at all, a buy a day. Emma ho if say enye yanto aba ma wa anka wo mama ema yo no edika wo se nipa na wo bedi so na wo di ma wo so di ma ana ade babu ani na next time wo betimi asa ba anim say wo sa bepe ye friend so sa bepe ye vote say yensa antoma wo di aba babu ani a untimi sa ma say yensa antu yensa untimi sa ma say yensa ma vote eti won de onya abotre ema yen na se bo benya baby papa bia ma ani a ye bekọ.
So what these traders are essentially saying is that they have nowhere to go and their only hope is for the stored markets to be completed. And one thing that they mention now is the fact that the Blue Light Arena, which is in Edum and caught fire, the market area that caught fire, has also brought a lot of them on the street since they have nowhere to be trading. what they also talk about is that.
Well, guess whose twin was over there? MFA Appiagyei-Atua. Just a quick bit before we go on break. MFA. Right. If there's an unauthorized space, it's not a market. You are selling there. And their thinking is, oh, we are selling here. So everything. I have a problem with Ghanaians. You are not supposed to be selling here. Oh, I'm trying to make a livelihood, so leave me be. Oh, then the Galamseyers will also say, yes, me too. So, yeah. I'm trying to make a living. Allow me to do Galamsey. We have problems in this country.
I totally agree.
Serious problems.
We specialize in throwing pity parties and inviting everybody to co-host with us. It's quite a pity. But let's hear that plan, because at least the law says that reasonable corporal punishment. So let's see, maybe the flogging will not be.
I'm not saying I'm in full support of going to whip people and all of that, but sometimes the rationalization, you know, and it just doesn't. But anyway, it is what it is. This is the country we have. We're taking a breather. Don't you forget, this show is proudly sponsored by Whaley Properties. We'll be back with more action.